What's up, everyone? I'm gonna give people a couple minutes before we let people up. Boom. And then if you could, please share the live, get it out there. I want this to have as many people on here as possible. So I hope everyone's having a great night. Happy Wednesday, midday week, right? So let's share this out here. Boom, 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 boom. Tim, this will be the first topic. And then after that, I'll let it go however you guys want to do it. Honestly, though, if you want to hit another topic first, I'm okay with that. Whatever you guys want to do. Stan, what's happening? How you doing? Like I said, I'm going to give a couple moments before I let people up, just so we can get everyone in here that wants to be in here. Boom, 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 boom. Thank you. I appreciate that, Sam. Nope. Let's go here. Boom, 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 boom. So, 2 more minutes. Sorry for the shaky cam. I'm just sharing this live right now. Like I said, if you guys could share the live, I want to get as many people out here so we can have some good talks, some good discussions. Stan, you're right here. Boom. There we go. And before I let people up, I'm going to go over the rules real quickly, too. So, boom. Okay, so as you guys know, we'll go over the rules real quickly, let you guys know what's going down, and then we're just going to get things started. We're not going to delay. Rules are going to be very simple, right? This is supposed to be a discussion. Yeah, it's kind of a debate, but I want it to be a talk between 2 people from opposing sides, or not 2 people, but 4 people from opposing sides on a topic, and just having a good talk about it. So with that said, I'm not going to impose any time limits or anything like that. However, if people start talking too long or interrupting people or anything along that lines, then I'll implement some kind of time limit for people to talk exclusively. But hopefully we don't have to go down that route. The main thing is of course, keep things copacetic, keep everything respectful, no insulting, no vulgar, no slurs, no derogatory remarks, nothing like that. Want to keep it all nice and clean. If you do any of that, you're out. Get you a warning, and then you're out. I'm not tolerating that. I want this to be a good discussion, again, between opposing sides. There will be 4 people up at a time, and then every 20 or 30 minutes, I'm going to rotate one person out. You guys on the DC and the Marvel side can select which person is rotate out. So it's up to you on who you want to jump down and who you want to jump up. And then lastly, I am just going to be monitoring this. I am going to be hosting it. I'm going to be playing referee. I'm not partaking in the arguments at all. I'm not judging them. I'm just simply here just for the sake of keeping everything cool. So with that said, I think we have some people ready to come up. So 1, 2. I might have to change the format. Hold on 1 second. Mode.
Yeah, you gotta switch it to like the grid, I think.
2, 3. Okay, so we real quick.
It's time.
Lucid. Oh, hold on. Let me get my earbuds. 1 sec. There's a lot of background noise. Lucid, I assume you're going to be on Master Martial Arts side, Marvel side for this. Okay.
Yeah. Wait, which topic are we doing
on the DC
first?
side?
Yeah.
Okay, Cam, what are you going to be on?
DC.
Okay, and then Abyss?
DC.
Okay, got it. I need some more Marvel people up here, so please.
My son Gravity
represent.
was supposed to join up, not gonna lie.
Your son is crazy.
Facts. That's my nigga.
Ain't no way you just disrespected him again on a live. No
Bro,
way.
I'm not disrespecting him, bro. That's not disrespect, bro. I meant that like in a what's the word?
Endearing
Loving
way.
parental
Yeah,
format.
yeah, exact. No, no, in an endearing way. What Grayson said.
So, any other Marvel people want to come up at all?
He said Nightcrawler said he's gonna need a little. He's out right now.
Okay, cool.
I can send it. Wait, what topic are we starting with? What topic are we starting with?
I figured we start with this unless you guys want to do something else. I'm quite alright if you want to do something
Let's start off
hot
with
or
Black
if you want to do
Panther.
Elektra. But I figured I might as well come in hot.
Hey, man.
Your fault.
It's up to y'all. I don't really care what topic we start with.
Until
if we start with the Black Panther topic though. Well, wait, didn't Gravity say he didn't really? Does Gravity want to do that topic? Because we did.
No, he said he didn't care about that topic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Gravity probably only cares about like Nova or something. Guide to topic.
My voice sounds.
Yo, Lucid, you got some Marvel companions, some comrades, whatever.
This might be a 4v1, man.
I didn't invite nobody.
If it's just
I'ma
Lucid in
send
here,
it
we
to
can
CR.
go
I'ma
one
send
at a
it-
time.
I'm gonna send the live to CR.
Nah, it shouldn't be like 4 people against 1 dude. Like, that's
Exactly.
Nah,
That's why we go
that's
one at a
I'm
time.
just
Like
playing around, yeah.
let Lucid go up against like one person, and we'll just stay back until more people come.
Or Andrew, if you want to, you could. Well, yeah, we could low key just wait until more people join. Yo,
Yeah,
everybody who's in here,
Yeah, I'd
share the
rather not
live,
have
share
it
the
be
live. Try to get some
4-on-1.
more
That's not the
heads
point
in.
of it. So if it's going to be like
Who-
Lucid,
who
he'll go
would be-
1-on-1 with someone, whoever wants to do that.
Who would I invite? That's like.
If you're in the
Honestly,
chat,
bro.
you want to defend Black Panther?
Let me get Key
martial
in
arts request.
Honestly, bro, I
Let
was
me get
gonna
Key in here.
state why I felt like he's not that, and then anybody of the 4 who have anything to say about it, everybody can chime in. I really don't mind. It is what it is. I don't care. I mean, because pretty sure other people may have their own opinions about it, but I'm just gonna state my side. If all 4 have something to say about it, everybody can say something. It's cool. I mean,
I'll start sharing it with.
I sent the live to
everything
CR.
longer.
So I don't know. We'll see.
I sent it to Key.
Okay, we'll give it like 2 more minutes, allow some other Marvel people to come up, and
where's
we'll go from
Vagabond?
there.
Is Vagabond joining?
Oh yeah, he could join.
I think Vagabond said he would have to come on later.
Damn, it's low key the best topic. We low key should save the best topic for last.
exactly. You know?
Yeah, especially if Vagabond and CR are planning to come out.
Yeah, we should low key because I don't want Lucid to be by himself. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it feels like it defeats the purpose of the live, even if he's okay with it.
Unless these all
we
coming
go
right now.
over the topic twice, but like.
Nah, we shouldn't do that because then we'll
Nah,
just be
do that.
restating points. It'll get. No, we shouldn't do that.
Yeah, then. But I guess there'd be
you know
new
what?
defeaters though, like new people trying to counter it. So. Depends.
I know Nava was going to come up at one point. Well, at them.
5DC versus. Well, Andrew's not arguing. It'd just be me, Grayson, Ebez, and then K. Against Lucid.
Yeah, we're out here trying to get more people
41's
from
not
Marvel.
fair. So, yeah.
Aries, if you know any Marvel people, just send the live to them and tell them to come up.
So, Lucid, how's your day going so far, man? How you doing?
Small talk.
I said, how you doing? How's your day going so far? Okay, got the kids watching the TV. I respect it.
There you go.
Tim is here. Tim is also DC.
Honestly, this might be the best topic. We should do like Batman vs Wolverine. Then we could do Black Panther.
if you want to, Detroit, you can. But I mean,
Yo, bro, what am I cheesing for?
He's cheesing.
You got to give you props, Lucid. You're up here, a man alone, standing your ground. I love it.
hey, military mindset, man. I ain't afraid of shit.
That's cool. Detroit said he would come up and give some support.
There we go. We got someone else. All right. There we go.
2v4 currently. Okay.
Let's get 2 more. Let's get 2 more on y'all side. Let's get 2 more. Apex is in here.
What's up, Detroit?
I don't know if Apex.
Good evening.
I
don't know what time Apex would be on. I don't know.
I mean, we could ask him what his stance is on the topic, and then he could, pick sides from then.
Yeah.
So everyone in the chat, if you're able to come up, if you want to defend the Marvel side, I want this to be equal. I don't want to have 4 DC people and 2 Marvel people, regardless of who it is. I want it to be equal. So that's why Gravity, I hope you understand, that's why I haven't let you hop up yet, because I don't want there to be 5 DC people. It's not the purpose of this. So I'll give it a couple more minutes, and then we'll just get this started, and I'll have 2 of you kick off, and then when more Marvel people come, we'll go from there. Okay?
Bearded Comic Nerd said who's on whose side. So me, Grayson, Cam, and Abyss, we are on the DC side. And Lucid and Detroit, I guess, are repping Marvel.
Yep.
Okay, one more moment. If people want to jump in later, we'll do this. So, for the sake of it keeping it even and no one interjecting, Kay, Grayson, Cam, and Abyss, how about 2 of you jump down or at least mute up so that we can have it be a 2-on-2? And
I
we'll
got you. I'll step down for this, and then I'll watch, and so it gives people a chance to request. And then
Nava just joined.
if you got more,
You
Nava
said
joined.
Nava joined? Hold on, Nava.
He joined the live, so might be fair.
There. Yeah, no.
Okay.
Do we just need one more Marvel?
Hey, what's
What's
up?
up, Nava?
Good evening, Nava.
Good evening.
Nava, I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule, sending us different football plans and strategies on Instagram.
All I gotta say is we beat Mahomes, and I'm just gonna leave it at that.
What's good, guys?
Okay, cool.
You didn't even watch the game, Detroit. Don't start. You didn't even watch the game.
I did watch the game.
No, you did. You was online playing video games with JL. Oh, called you out. Got you.
That's
Can we get
I'm not gonna lie.
Can we get one more Marvel person before we start this topic? Anyone else want to jump up? If not, I'm going to have one DC person step down so we can keep it equal.
Hey, what up, Bearded? Thank y'all for asking. Yeah, I had a couple people hitting me up.
Andrew, so you can start it now. I'll step down now, and then I'll keep my request open. And if somebody else Marvel joins, just let me back up, and then we'll come in. It'll be a 4v4, okay?
Sounds good. Okay.
Great.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Bill.
No problem. Catch you later.
So this is what we're going to do. I'm just going to reiterate things for Nava and Detroit, just so because you guys weren't here. Real quickly, the rules. This is going to be a conversation as well as a debate to a degree. There is going to be no time limits or anything. There's no win-loss kind of stuff. This is just simply us discussing a topic, and then you guys trying to, sort it out. And maybe you agree, maybe you disagree, whatever the case may be. It's just more or less having a good conversation. Number one, I'm not imposing any time limits, but if people start talking over each other or people start talking forever and ever and ever, I'll put a time limit on. Second thing is, obviously, I don't want any negativity, no bashing, no name calling, no derogatory remarks, anything like that. You get one warning. After that, you're gone. No tolerate. Last thing is that I'm not participating in these debates at all. I'm just a monitor. I'm just here. I'm just keep things copacetic. So with that said, the first topic is going to be Black Panther. Is he a master of all martial arts or a 7 in martial arts, or is he not? And why? And in addition to that, does that matter to Black Panther? Is that important to the character? So,
shall I start or?
Yeah, whoever wants to start, I'll leave it up to you guys.
All right. Well, before I think everyone should start, I think everyone should answer the question. So, do we think he's a 7, or do we think he's a 5? And does it matter to the character and the why in there, of course?
I don't think he's a 7, and then I think it does matter.
Okay. Kay just disappeared. All right. You don't think he's a 7? You think it does matter? Okay. Did you say why? You don't feel like he is?
My fault. I'm back.
Wait, am I going first? Or,
no. You just answering the question. I mean, I'm gonna explain too. But I'm just
make it easy. Let's go around the board real quick.
Yeah,
Let's say we'll answer the question 2 ways. Number one, do you think he's a 7, and do you think he's a master of all martial arts? Lucid, you go first.
Yes, I think he's a 7. I'll state my reason why in a little while. Do I think it matters to the character? Not really, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's a 7, but I'll explain it after everybody else goes.
Grayson?
Yeah, no, me personally, I don't think he's a 7, but regardless of whether he is or not, I don't think it matters to his character.
Okay. Wukong, are you going to be on the Marvel or DC side? You have to let me know. Cam, what do you think?
He's not a 7. And I do think that amount of martial arts will matter.
Okay. So Wukong wants to come up, so we'll bring Wukong and Abyss back up. Okay. Nava, what do you think?
You skipped over Detroit.
Oh, Detroit, I'm sorry. Detroit, what do you
It's
think?
it's all good. It's all good.
Hey guys.
Do I think he's a master martial arts? Yes, I do. And do I think he's a 7? I don't think it really matters to him whatsoever.
Well, the broad question is he a master of all martial arts?
Oh.
Because I think we can agree he's a master martial artist. But is he a master of all martial arts?
Honestly, I think yes, he is. Yes.
Okay. Nava, baby, what do you think?
I don't think he is, but I don't think it matters to his character.
Okay. Okay, your thoughts?
I don't think he is. I think it matters to his character in terms of death battles and versus battles because of who we compare him to. Characters such as Batman, Deathstroke, etc. So, not being a master of all martial arts would be a disadvantage in battles against those people. So I do think it matters in that context. But in the context of just like how formidable he is as a fighter, I don't think it really matters.
Okay. Wukong?
I believe he is a master of all martial arts, and here's my reason why. Because his ancestors that he has full control over as King of the Dead had various forms of martial arts. He has basically an arsenal that he can tap into. He can learn their fighting styles. He can also learn fighting styles from gods like Thor. I strongly believe he is a master of all martial arts and other martial arts that go beyond the scope of Earth.
Okay. And Abyss?
I don't think he's a master of all martial arts, and I do think it matters to his character in terms of versus battles.
Okay. So how about we go with the Marvel side first, and how about you guys give a general, like, what is it that makes you think he is a master of all martial arts?
Okay. So the reason I state that is because this is the thing. I mean, since we're like this, of course, I can't really show the scans, of course, to like, but I'll just refer to them. I hope that everybody knows them. So my reason for it is, even back then, like in 2004, they were already saying he's a 5 in the guidebooks thing. So my whole thing's gonna be away from the guidebooks. So if you remember stop, baby, stop. If we remember
Lucid, if you want to source the comic scans that you like are referencing, you could just source it and then we could just like find them for you.
Yeah, cool. No. I mean, no, it's all good. I was gonna state the comics of. I was gonna state the comics of where I got them from. It's just so for people to look at them. But I already pre-recorded a video, basically saying everything here and explaining it a little more in depth already. So I'm gonna post it after the video, after this. But my whole thing is like my whole reason for this is, if anybody remembers The Most Dangerous Man on Earth, where he was he didn't have his powers and all that, he was fighting and fighting the hand, Typhoid Mary and all that. He ended up getting 4 extra arms. Yeah, I don't know if people remember that. And during that time, when that happened, he had 24 hours. It was in between 24 hours. He adapted really quickly, and then within 24 hours, she said that he mastered an infection. He said he did it with only balance and coordination. So I feel like that was a testament to how fast he can learn. Now, fast forward a little bit past that, and he got the King of Dead status. Now we go on to the next part where the Kunlun style is introduced. Now, my quick question to everybody here is: do you feel like he got the Kunlun style from fighting Iron Fist, or do you feel like he got it from the King of Dead status with his ancestor? What, baby?
Well, he knows all
I
fighting
would have to
styles
go
on
with
Earth.
Iron Fist.
Well,
I think he
he
got
knows
it
all
because
fighting styles on Earth, right? But that doesn't mean he's mastered it. So.
Well, no. I'm just asking the question. I mean, do you feel like he got it from the King of Dead status, meaning from from the past, his first ancestor who trained with the first Iron Fist, or do you feel like he got it from like learning really fast and adapting from fighting Danny
Uh,
Rand?
No, I
Just
think
a
I
second.
think
Me
I
personally, I
think
don't.
he learned
Oh,
it
go
through
ahead.
his own training because
yeah, I
he's
think he just
already
knows it.
stated that he studied every fighting style on earth from
Okay,
Yeah.
man to man.
so now going to what I was saying here, the reason I said that is because when the shadow combat thing was introduced in 2017, it said the Wakandan style, Kunlun, and then Jeet Kune Do. That was in 2017, the Ultimate Edition. In that same run, he fought the Tiger God. Now, by the end of that run, he fought the Tiger God and got that totem. Now we all know that the totem gives you superhuman powers and mastery over martial arts. 3 years later, in Empire #6, the scan that I told Kay I was gonna show again, the scan that shows that he's a master of shadow combat. That was 3 years after the that Ultimates run. Now he said he's a master after getting that totem. So, quick question: do you feel like that's a natural progression thing that he's a master of shadow combat, or do you feel like it's because of the totem?
I personally think he was always a master of shadow combat. I think shadow combat's always been his martial art. That's why it's been stated that he was a master of one martial art, even back in the day, back in like 2004. Ever since then, it's always been stated that he had a hybrid. Sorry, he had a hybrid martial art. So I think in 2017, it was just giving him a name for that martial art. It wasn't like something new that he created.
Yeah, I agree with what Jason said. That's pretty much exactly what I was going to say.
Wukong, Detroit, y'all got anything to say?
Um,
Um,
hmm. Personally, I feel like that since we know about the Black Panther lore, it's obvious that Black Panther can tap into his ancestors. His ancestors have the fighting styles. Therefore, he has them on hand. And he can pull up any form of martial art that his ancestors came up with or have used in their lives. And to me, I feel like that just certifies him as being a master of all martial arts because, in that logic, if my ancestor was able to figure out this, say my ancestor was a master of kung fu and he knew this one secret style that only my ancestor would know. And if I have that ability where I can go meet my ancestor and learn that martial art and be able to use it without anyone thinking that I might not even have that ability, that gives me the edge. And to me, I feel like that's the major important step with Black Panther is that he can go to, like, let's say, any one of his ancestors, pick up that fighting style, and then use it effectively to get the win.
Pause for a second, real quick. If you guys are interested in jumping up on the live, I'm going to rotate people in the next 15 minutes. So please put your invitation in now so you're in the waiting room. Please continue.
That is my point.
Oh, okay.
So,
Detroit, I have a question.
okay.
Does someone want to say something?
Yeah, I think we're gonna ask the same question. So, you want me to go first or you?
You can go
Well,
ahead.
well,
You can go ahead.
well, we should let all of them go, and then we can ask her questions. For being
Yeah,
Well,
honest.
I
but
don't
then we're
want.
gonna
The
be
thing is,
going
though,
over
I don't
so
want to
many
forget.
points at once.
Yeah, I don't want to I don't want to like be getting like I don't want to get
Okay.
shotgun. So I want to like ask
I
like
just want to
just.
go with the simplest version. That's all.
But
Like,
Okay,
yeah,
so
Abyss, you could ask him. You could ask him.
okay, so my question to you, Detroit, would be just because Black Panther, has access to his ancestors' martial arts, just because he knows it, why does that inherently make him a master of it and not just someone who knows these fighting styles and is just good at using them? What differentiates him being good at them to being a master at them?
I guess it comes down to how he prepares and all that. Because let's be real. All right, say you have this ability to talk to your ancestors and learn these fighting styles. He's going to train himself to learn that fighting style when he has his downtime to basically learn the martial art or learn that skill or learn that ability to basically have it down to a science. And when it comes to being a Black Panther, as we all know, the ancestors that who help provide him with the martial arts, it it not only provides him with an extra ability, this also means that he has to adapt himself to exit out of one fighting style and then adapt himself to use another. Even sometimes that might mean on the fly. And that comes down to T'Challa's experience of being a combative and also him as a master of martial arts.
So wait, hold on, Detroit. I hear what you're saying about that. I just have one question. So you're saying that because he has access to his ancestors and things of that nature, that will give him martial arts mastery. But do you have any substantial evidence that would prove that his ancestors are actually even masters of martial arts? Or could you kind of quantify how many martial arts his ancestors have even mastered?
Yeah, I was
Because
going to ask the
if you
same thing.
can't, if you
Sorry.
can't do
Go
that, then
ahead.
you would just be assuming that they're masters with no actual evidence or indication.
Okay, are we
Also,
really
I
doing
do
this right
think that there
now?
is a scam
Hey,
where,
if we're gonna do shit like this, I'm just gonna jump off.
Wait, and
Wait,
also,
what?
like what?
wait, what?
Like what, Nava?
Come on,
Wait,
man.
wait.
You really gonna do that, Kay? We don't we
Like,
haven't had this back and forth about Black Panther constantly.
What are you
Well,
talking
what's the
Well,
about?
problem,
okay,
Nava?
Nava.
Let's
Hold
take what we know about Black Panther.
That's like a suit. That's like a. I think that's very disrespectful. It's disingenuous.
How?
Wait,
what?
What's
What?
disingenuous about what I asked?
I
okay.
think the question you just asked him was disrespectful and disingenuous
In
because
what
Why?
you know
way?
better.
In what way?
Because you wouldn't ask me that question because
Yes,
you
I
know better.
would. I'd ask
What?
anyone that question that was
Well,
making a claim.
well,
Well, hold
well.
on, 1 sec. So,
All right,
Nava,
so
are you
if
saying
it's gonna be like that, I'm just gonna hop off.
Nava? Quick
What?
question.
What?
So, are you Nava? Real quick
What did you
question. Are you
find
saying that
disingenuous about it?
Hold on, everyone, quiet. Nava, just quick question, so I have an understanding. Are you saying that Kay asking if there's a statement that his ancestors know all forms of martial arts is a disingenuous question? Is that what you're saying?
It's a disingenuous question to ask Detroit. Yes, most certainly.
Why is that? Please.
Because he's already had these debates with comics related and everybody else. He knows. We've already showed him this.
No, I've actually never discussed
Oh,
deeply
here we go.
experience with comics
Oh my
related.
gosh. I'm just gonna hop
So,
out.
Nava, the point of you being on the Marvel team is that you can step in and answer these questions for your teammates. So, if you feel like it's a disingenuous question towards Detroit specifically, you can
He
answer
left.
it
He
too.
left.
Okay.
Bruh.
What?
That's
Okay.
crazy.
You said that
That
was
Alright,
was.
this
disingenuous
is
to
I
ask
want to
retarded.
say
Detroit?
something. I want to say
Retarded.
something right quick. I want to say something right quick, if
Yo.
I may.
Okay, go
Sure.
ahead, bro.
By all
We all
means.
know that the T'Challa has always prepped for various situations. He's always prepped for whenever people may betray him or stuff like that.
Wait, so
Hold
the
on, hold on.
ancestors thing.
I'm trying to gather my
Okay,
thoughts.
look at my fault.
Wukong, while you're getting your thoughts ready, we have a spot open for a Marvel person. If there is someone that
Yeah.
wants to be part of this topic, I want to keep things even between Marvel and DC. So if anyone wants to
Okay.
hop on, please let me know. If not, a DC person will probably have to hop down.
All
Alright,
right.
so I wanted to say, what's to
I
even
did.
say that those ancestors have the knowledge of all martial arts? Like just the knowledge, not even master. Why do they even know any of them besides Wakandan?
You forget that there's a Black Panther that was from like what 1 million BC or something like that, right?
Yeah.
He's known martial arts. He probably has known martial arts that are akin to him. I mean, I haven't read 1 million yet. I'm about to get on that soon.
Wait.
I've only seen bits and pieces, but T'Challa,
Okay.
he is always prepared for every situation. We can't say he doesn't know
You
every form
can.
of martial arts.
Well, he knows them, but he hasn't mastered them. There's nothing to say he has.
All right. Well,
Except that
so
one guidebook in like 2000
Considering it's
something
him,
that's
he probably
contradicted
has
nine times
mastered them.
after.
here's what I
Who's
was
to
gonna
say
say.
that?
Without using the guidebooks, can anybody up
Yeah.
here prove that he's a five? Like without using the
Well, the
guidebooks.
guidebooks
Sure,
are the
there's only
only
a
source that
Well,
say
no, no,
he's
statement
no.
a
in
five.
Q1.
I mean,
I
what?
trust the
So,
guidebooks.
Hey
I
guys,
Well, yeah, I
trust
mean,
them
like,
to a
one at a
fault.
time. Well, guys, one
okay,
at a
go ahead.
time.
Yeah.
yeah,
Lucid,
that's why
ask
I
the
was just.
question.
The only reason I was asking that question is because it seems like it always goes back to that. So taking those out of the equation right now, anything in the comics that you know, is there any way you can prove that he's only mastered one? I mean, from way back when, even to now. Just asking.
Well,
Wait, can I
currently,
take
bro,
this? Can
like
I take this
for
question, or does somebody want to take it?
No, I mean either
You
one.
can
I mean,
take it,
everybody
but
can
real
take it.
quick,
I'm just asking.
you can go first,
I
Kay.
think
Go
we're all
for
gonna
it,
say
yeah.
the same
All right.
thing, right?
real quickly, Kay,
So
before you go, if a
yeah.
Marvel person doesn't come up, one of you guys are going to have to select a DC person to step down because I can't. I want to keep it even. I want to keep it fair.
I can
Yeah.
mute up like until a Marvel person joins.
Are
Okay.
you Lucid,
It's not to.
Detroit,
I
Wukong?
don't
Are you
really.
cool with that?
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
cool
cool.
with it.
Okay,
All right.
go ahead, Kay.
So Lucid, so my question to you would be, why do you feel that we have to move away from like evidence that's published by Marvel themselves and things that Marvel actually use to kind of rank their characters? Like, why do we have to ignore that evidence?
Because the thing I'm trying to do is I want to discuss things if we're discussing it from the comic books. If the guide books weren't even here, I want to discuss it from a different standpoint because because most of everything I'm going by is what's stated in the
Right.
comics. So like I keep hearing the one thing about him being the five in the comic, based
Okay.
on but based on that. But see, if you're using the guidebooks, if it's not substantiated in the comics, then how is that even reliable information? That's the only
So,
reason
well,
I'm
okay,
asking
so
for that. If you're
fair
if you're
enough.
using the guidebooks, where's the substantiation in the comics? If it's not
Fair enough.
substantiated, how are we using it? So that's the only reason I was asking that question.
I wanted to
Fair.
say something about the
Okay.
burden.
Oh
I
wait, hold
want to
on.
say this as
I
well.
okay.
Oh wait, all right. Wait, can I just say one thing real quick and
Yeah,
I'll let you
I
guys
didn't.
go? I just want
Yeah,
to
Yeah,
address
let
go
something.
let
ahead,
Kay
man.
go because he's getting talk
All
first.
right. Yeah, so Lucid, so the substantiation in the comics that would suggest that he's a 5 is the statement that he's mastered shadow combat, which is the only style that it's stated that he's mastered in comics. Unless you know of a statement, that suggests that he's mastered anything more than shadow combat. Him being a master of just shadow combat would suggest that he's a 5 because a 5 is just mastering a single form of combat. So that would be the substantiation in itself of him being a 5 in skill.
All right, so I wanted to say something too.
Go
So
ahead,
that
Cam.
wouldn't even be our burden to prove that he's not a master of all forms of combat. It'd be your burden to prove that he is, because it's a negative claim. So if you
That
want
is
to
true, but I
X
was
out
just, for the sake of
every
conversation, answering it.
yeah, but if you want to X out every guidebook, it would still be y'all burden to prove, like show us some comics thing where it's like master of all forms of combat. So
Well,
yeah,
no, I mean, like, look, I've already stated my whole side about that. Now, at the same time, there's a disagreement in that, and I've already substantiated my side. If your one thing, like I said, if your one thing is the guidebooks, and there's no substantiation in the actual comics, how is that I don't understand how that's a proven claim of anything. I mean, I'm not saying it's my
well,
burden or anything. I'm just saying if your only proof is it's in the guidebooks. I'm like okay.
Lucid.
That's
If
I'm,
you're
only,
if
I'm
you're
just asking a
saying
question.
if you're saying there's
Uh,
nothing in the comics saying verbatim he's not a master of all forms of combat, that'd just be an argument for ignorance. Saying that just because there is nothing saying that it can't be a thing. Let me say it like that.
I got a question. Who's the number one
Yeah,
fighter in all of Marvel right now?
Shang-Chi.
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 Yeah. Oh,
So,
that's at least
Lucid,
my opinion.
So, Lucy, when you were talking about like your points as to why Black Panther was a 7, you said a lot
Yeah.
of different things, and we just haven't got to the other things that you were talking about, and we kind of got sidetracked. So we
Yeah.
have refutations to them to like go against him not being it. So it's just we haven't got into it yet. That's the reason why it's still a negative claim. So we're just going by point at this point.
Well, yeah, I hear
Yeah.
you. See, but my see, we went over. I know we went over like the first thing, but my whole thing was based on that. Because this whole thing was saying this in 2004 about it being about him being a 1. That was like 13 years before the Ultimate Run came. Now, when it said hybrid style, it said that many times, but it said that in conjunction with other things such as animalistic or acrobatics, or it threw things in there like that. It didn't. And then it said it didn't belong to any martial arts discipline. But then you think about it, it actually named other styles, so that actually contradicts that already. It said it doesn't believe. It just said it doesn't belong to any martial arts discipline. But then when he stated shadow combat, it said Kunlun, Wakandan, and Jeet Kune Do. So with that being said, that automatically contradicts that because those are martial arts disciplines. So that contradicts that one statement from those comics anyway. So that's why I can't agree that shadow combat is the thing that they're referring to when they're talking about that's the one style that he has that he mastered.
Wait,
Because
so did it
right
say he
there,
mastered?
Wait,
Animalistic fighting styles? Did it say
No,
that?
no, no. I know,
No.
I know what statement he's talking about. So basically, the statement says that T'Challa's
Okay.
unique hybrid is no known discipline, or it's a discipline that belongs to like no other. And essentially,
Okay.
Lucid, that isn't a contradiction to what's stated because they're saying that his combination of those styles, not the styles individually. So when they say Kunlun styles and Wakandan styles, even though those are known martial arts disciplines, they're saying that the combination of that T'Challa uses to make his own style is what isn't known to anyone else because it's his
Yeah, the
unique style.
shadow physics and all that is not part of the
Master Shadow Combat.
martial arts rule.
What do you mean?
Like, if you really think about it,
What do you mean by
Wait,
that?
wait. What is that?
his shadow physics is a lot different from every other fighting style.
Well, shadow physics isn't
I
a
mean,
fighting style; it's his science that he created.
It's
Shadow combat is
yeah.
the fighting style
Shadow
that he
So
made.
shadow
combat.
combat. Yeah, right. Sorry.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
to
but
address that point directly, you say like it's nothing like other fighting styles, but the problem with that is it's literally based around pre-existing fighting styles. So although the
Well,
combination
true. I mean,
itself is
almost
different,
every fighting style is.
go ahead.
Well, okay.
I mean, even Jeet Kune Do that was created by Bruce Lee, it is a fighting style.
Form. Yeah.
That's just
yeah,
different variations of various forms and attacks and techniques.
correct. But no, this is what we're saying. So Lucid is saying that because the gods say that T'Challa's technique or his fighting style isn't a known discipline. He's saying that because shadow combat includes known disciplines, it contradicts what's stated in the God book. But in the God book, they're referencing T'Challa's combination of those styles, which would be unknown because if I take two elements of something and I make something new, that new thing that I created that's unique to me wouldn't be known by other people. Like, for example, if we look at Batman, right? Batman created Bam Pow to combat the Darkest Night, right? Or, sorry, not the Darkest Night, the Batman Who Laughs. He created Bam Pow. That was a randomly created martial arts. And there's other characters in DC who have no idea what Bam Pow is because they didn't create the style, and it's not a known style. So what I'm saying is T'Challa having shadow combat and using known styles doesn't contradict the statement from the guidebook because it would still be an unknown discipline to others because it's a unique thing that he created for himself. So it goes hand in hand with what the guidebooks are saying.
Yeah. So like,
Uh,
so besides the experience and besides the shadow combat thing, is there anything saying that he's mastered multiple forms of combat? Or all forms of combat? My fault.
Well, like I was saying, what I said earlier had everything to do with either him learning and mastering something quickly, like it said in the like it said in the most dangerous man alive thing, or compared to what happened with the Tiger God, with the Tiger God thing. So based on that, see, I'm not gonna say because knowing how people are with statements and all that stuff, I'm not gonna say he was a master of it when it was introduced because he just said it. He only said it, of course. He said the one thing he said was, it's my own blend of whatever. It's called Shadow Combat. Now this is long before when he was fighting people, long before 2004 when he was even fighting Iron Fist. So like I said, during that time, he introduced it during the Ultimates run, and then he beat the Tiger God at the end. And then of course once you do that and you get the full power, it gives you mastery over martial arts. Like I said, 3 years after that in the Empire #6, it said that I am a master of shadow combat. So to me, either that is a natural progression of him able to learn something and after 3 years able to master it, or he mastered it after getting the Tiger God orb at the end of the Ultimates run. That is why I feel like if it's just a natural progression and he's able to learn that fast, I'm like, why can't we say that for the other styles? And if we're not gonna say that, and we're just gonna say it because of the Tiger God orb giving him mastery over martial arts, just like we can say that for the shadow combat thing, why can't we say that for all the other styles? That is the one thing I was saying. That's why I believe he's a 7. So my whole thing is like for somebody who's been training all his life, and for somebody who says they studied, I don't feel like when the martial artist said they studied something, that's not like they're looking down and reading a book. No, I studied it. I trained in it. So my whole thing was that based on him, with everything, with him studying that, with him able to learn things quickly, with him training all of his life, with the Tiger God thing, giving him mastery over martial arts, and then showing the progression of Shadow Combat being introduced, then mastered a couple years later. That is why I say he's a master of all of them, because of that. Now, Shadow Combat is his go-to style. Yes, I believe that. But I believe the other ones are easily at his disposal as well. But that was always been my point to it.
Lucid, I don't think any of us are saying that Black Panther isn't skilled at any of those other styles that he studied.
Oh, yeah.
We're
I'm not
just
saying y'all saying
he's
that. No.
no. But we're saying the only one that he mastered is the one he created. And I feel like the ultimate scan that you're talking about, the one where he's speaking about Shadow Combat for the first time, I don't think there's any indication that that's when he first like created it, or it's like a new style that he created at that moment. The way he's speaking on it is like something he has been developing for a while, or he has developed a while ago. And for your White Tiger God point, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I'll
go
give
ahead.
you a chance to speak. But for the White Tiger God point, the reason you say that it grants mastery over martial arts is because of the Marvel.com website, correct?
Yes. Yes.
So I had a question about that. Why do you feel like the Marvel.com website is a valid source to get your information from, but not guidebooks?
Well, see, this is the reason I do that. See, the reason I do that is because if you read Eva Ayala's story, it also loosely referenced this kind of thing when it comes down to her martial arts skills. Like I said, I mean, I don't have to use either of those other things, because when it comes to Eva Ayala, her first thing was the White Tiger God, having the White Tiger God amulet. Even if you go back to reference the Masters of Kung Fu, back the people who trained Shang-Chi, they were looking for the Tiger God amulets, and they were already masters of all martial arts, but they were looking for it for more mastery over combat, because they mentioned that back then. So even if and then they mentioned that back then for superhuman powers, they wanted that and more mastery over martial arts. They mentioned that back then. So I don't even have to use the Marvel website. I just thought that was the easiest thing to do. But even in those comments from back then, it's already mentioned that they're looking for that to get more mastery over martial arts. So it's already
See,
referenced for the amulet to be one thing. So, but like I
Damn, I
said,
almost forgot about the amulet, man.
yeah,
but that's what I'm saying.
yeah, but I'm talking about the white guy,
Beta Ray
Tiger God
Train,
totem. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Train. Can you come up and participate in a live game?
who
If
left?
Hey,
possible.
let's bring Trey up, man. Let's bring Kim up, man.
Yeah, I
Nah,
think
for
somebody
real,
left.
because he be,
Hold
this
up.
is the
Yeah.
time. Here we go.
But
Here we
I said
What's
go.
up,
I
Trey?
want to not to
Yo,
interrupt anybody. I was trying to hear what Grayson was going to say in response to that, because that was just, I mean, I didn't want him to think that I'm just using I don't use outside sources apart from the comics. I mean, when it comes down to using the website, yeah, I did that because it was easier, but it's been referenced in other comics. So please don't think that I'm just using that to do that. Nah, it's been referenced in other comics
Yeah,
too.
but
So,
like that's what I'm saying about the White Tiger God. I was just trying to
yeah,
like see what where your head was at with the White
yeah, of
Tiger
course.
God. We've had other people who use the White Tiger amulet, correct? We've had like her brother, I
And
believe, and somebody else, Angela, I believe her name was.
I think her niece and like three other people called themselves the White Tiger. So yeah, the
Yeah,
White
yeah, yeah. So
Tigers. So yeah,
White
yeah.
Tiger, yeah, exactly.
I
yeah,
So they've
almost
all
White
used
forgot
the
it
Tiger.
was
amulet,
the
and they all
girl
get like
who was the
the
white tiger.
martial arts mastery from like
Yeah,
or like the quote unquote martial arts mastery from the amulet.
yeah.
The thing is though, the other two people who got like their martial arts that we know have used the amulet and were granted quote unquote martial arts mastery from the amulet, both of those people are listed as fives by Marvel themselves. So we know that they're also just masters of one martial art. So wouldn't
Oh
that
yeah,
be a
yeah.
contradiction to that?
Yeah, see, you would be right. That would be. However, the only reason that wouldn't be a contradiction is because Eva Ayala herself, if you're going to still use the guidebooks, she's not listed as a five. She's listed as a six. And this is the one thing about it. Prior to the amulet with her, she's not listed as somebody who trains that much either. Now I don't read her comics like that, so I can't give too much of a substantiation on that. But she's referenced as a six. It's different in
I've
her
only
case.
known her
Now,
through the animated
yeah.
show of Spider-Man.
Yeah, and but yeah, that was my whole point to this thing is like, if we're talking about the amulets, which only doesn't even hold all of it, it holds an avatar that takes over somebody who wears the amulet, just like Ava Ayala let it take over her, and she was able to beat the shit out of Iron Fist. Sorry, forget my language. Iron Fist, and other people who were trying to stop her. You know, so my whole thing is like she got she was able to do that, but she only did that with a portion of it in her amulet. Imagine for T'Challa beating the actual thing, has the Tiger God totem with the actual full Tiger God in it. I mean, my only thing is like I still feel like that kind of implication holds more than anything. Seen as I haven't seen anything in the comments that says that he's still just one thing stated, whatever. Now, also, there's all one thing I want to state. Also, when it comes to heroes, I don't think I have seen any heroes where it says in the comments that this hero is a master or whatever. I've heard some references saying, "Oh, somebody's above this and above that," but I've only heard villains say. I've only heard like the villains be having been stated, like Callisto, Mister X, and etc. So when it comes to heroes, it's not
That
really
was.
stated from Marvel and like that. I mean, if I'm wrong, correct me. I'm just saying I haven't seen that, but I've seen that for more villains in Marvel. So,
Say something.
but I didn't hear anybody. I was just stating that. But yeah, if somebody got something to say, go ahead.
Sorry, could I just respond to that really quick, and then I'll mute up and let somebody else speak because I've been speaking for a while. No, so like what I'm saying about like the white tiger thing, Ava can be a six, yeah. Like I admit Ava's a six for sure. But with that, I don't think that like that disproves the two other people we've seen given the power of the white tiger god. Because the reason she's a six according to you is because of the white tiger. But couldn't you simply just argue that she was already a master before she got the white tiger, and after she was given the amulet, she's given extra martial art? So that's two. That would make her a six, versus the other two who weren't masters of a single martial art prior to it, and then after they were given the amulet, they were a master of one. So like I feel like T'Challa beating the White Tiger God, I don't think that would put him at a master of all. Somebody else
Well,
can
I'm
speak after me. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not
Well,
taking
well,
up all the.
to answer what you said, see, when it comes to the other white tigers, the other three, I don't know anything about them. I have not read their runs like that. Like I said, they're in the Masters of Kung Fu thing with Shang Chi, and they referenced back then with all the other things. So I don't know what their rank was. For Ava, like I said, there's not unless I don't know her comics, so I wouldn't be able to read them all. I got to go back and read them all if I'm gonna do that. Probably have to do an arc on them and figure that out. But I don't, like I said, I don't think there's much referenced about her prior to the amulet unless there's something else I'm missing.
Yeah.
Like I said, correct me if I'm wrong. But like I said, other than her getting that, if she knew something and then the Tiger God gave her the mastery, then that would make sense. But that is the only reason I'm saying that. Now, when it comes to T'Challa, like I said, it's different. Like I mean, because he's not doing what she does. She submits to the power. He conquered it. So that's the only reason I say it was different. But yeah, I'm from the mute, and I'll anybody else want to go ahead and comment? Y'all can go ahead. I'm gonna keep quiet a little bit.
Anything else? Because we've been on the topic for roughly a half hour, so I don't know if you guys want to continue talking about it or if you want to move on to the next one.
It's up to them. I stated.
Yeah,
We
we can
probably
move
just go
on.
to the next one. Yeah.
Hold up a
So good
second.
conversation.
To be respectful, real quick. Beta Ray Trade. Is there anything you want to say about that, man, or did you come up for the next topic?
Really just the next topic, but personally, I don't think it matters if he's a master of all forms of martial arts or not. Like I was saying on Cosmic's page, I liken T'Challa to the world's greatest mixed martial artist, where he's so skilled in so many different forms of martial arts that it doesn't matter if he masters all of them or not. But that was just really my whole thing. And with the Tiger God, the reason why the sons of the Tiger aren't considered sixes or sevens is because when they got the powers, you have to understand it was like the 50s or 60s. Martial arts was at its most basic. You know what I'm saying? This was just basic ass karate and things of that nature. So when I think it was her niece, when her niece got it, she got all three of the Sons of the Tiger. She got all three of their combined skills into her. And then when she starts training, then Ava gets it. Ava gets the combined skills of the four people prior to her. But Ava also
I know
trained
that.
with the Avengers herself. Yeah, that's all. That's it.
Yeah. See, and I
I
that right
just
there.
send
See,
the
right,
invite,
I
by
didn't
the
know
way.
that. Yeah, that right there, I didn't know that. Because like I said, I don't know much about Ava. But for him to say that, my question, that was my one question about that. Imagine for T'Challa, who got the actual orb, the actual totem with the actual Tiger God in it. I mean, I feel like, I mean, when we think about it, like that's
Yeah,
all I
like
was saying. But yeah,
technically in that
yeah.
part, he did have the entire. He had all three pieces, so technically he would have gotten the martial arts skills from everybody prior who wore the amulet before him. But
And,
like you say, man, you ain't really seen it, but you can make a case for it.
yeah,
Wait, but
and,
I have a
but yeah,
question regarding that though.
yeah,
Yeah, I have
Kate,
two questions about that.
oh yeah, yeah. I know y'all finna do that. I'm just gonna say one thing about that. So to what Trey said, of course, when he said about hold on, baby, hold on. For what Trey said about that, like what we said about the Tiger God thing, for somebody like T'Challa, who, if we combine how much he's trained compared to the three sons of Tigers and Ava, and him already saying he studied all styles, and then with the Tiger God thing, that's why I feel like, yeah, that's why the case could be mentioned for that. But if y'all have questions, y'all can go ahead. I'm all there.
So my first question would be, if the amulet in itself would grant master over one form of martial arts from what we see consistently with the guidebooks, wouldn't that, like, if whoever gets the amulet, right, gets the skills of all the previous white tigers, wouldn't that just be them all getting the same exact skill? So if she gets the amulet, she wouldn't now be a master of multiple martial arts. She would be a master of the same martial arts that the other white tigers got granted from the amulet. So that still wouldn't contradict anything.
Well, to what you're saying, Abyss, like, this is the one thing about that. See, it's not like all of them trained in the same thing back then. See, because that's also what Trey said. He said that when they got it back then, they were martial artists, but it's not that they trained in the same thing. And he, like what he said with Ava, she trained with the Avengers and she got other disciplines because of the amulet. So that's why it is somewhat different, because we're talking about somebody who got other things from other people. So that's the only reason that it's being ranked that way.
So that's fine, but the thing is, when we're talking about mastery and whoever would get the amulet to adopt a mastery over martial arts, just because they train something else, we have no evidence that they train to be a master of those other forms that whoever gets the amulet would adopt. So just saying that she trained with other people wouldn't now prove that you get mastery from getting the amulet.
Okay, you got a question? Because I was gonna
Hold on,
answer.
repeat that.
Me? Repeat that, Trey?
Yeah, go ahead, Abyss.
Yeah.
So
Repeat that
if
real quick.
Ava is training
Sorry.
with the Avengers, right, to be more skilled in multiple forms of martial arts, what evidence do we have to say that those skills that you trained, she became a master of? So the next person to get the amulet would now adopt that mastery over those martial arts.
Hey, Trey, you can go or I'll go. It's up to you, man.
Oh, you can go. You go. I'm trying to formulate what I'm trying to say real quick.
Okay. So Abyss, what you're saying is, like, based on her training with other people, you saying that doesn't mean that she has the mastery? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I'm just saying that just because she trains with other people and becomes skilled in other forms of martial arts, what evidence do we have to say that she became a master of those other martial arts she trained?
Well, see, that also goes right back to the amulet, because when you're wearing the amulet, it gives you whatever. I hope I'm saying this right. When you're wearing the amulet, it gives you mastery over martial arts. So if you're training in something, it doesn't matter. It pretty much doesn't even matter if you're a novice or a beginner or whatever, because the Sons of the Tiger weren't even, super crazy. Oh, sorry about baby. They weren't even super crazy when it comes down to the martial arts. They were starters. They had just started. Now, when it comes to Ava, the same deal is that she just started with the Avengers as well. Now, she's been training with them. The amulet grants you mastery over martial arts. That is one of the powers of the amulet. And it gives you superhuman power. So that's why she's stronger, faster, than she's ever been. But the one thing about the amulet is that it grants you mastery. That is one thing that the Masters of Kung Fu, the people who trained Shang-Chi, wanted. So because of the amulet, if she was training against something, the mastery over that would come from the amulet. Even if whatever. But that is what the amulet does. It's not me saying it.
I have a
It's what
question. I have
yeah.
a question.
Go ahead.
So if we're saying that the amulet is what's solely responsible for granting the mastery over martial arts, why would that still apply to T'Challa? Because he doesn't wear the amulet consistently. Like, he has the amulet, or he had it. I don't even think he has it currently, because I think Ava Ayala has the White Tiger again. But he had the amulet. He wore it in the Ultimates to defeat Logos, and he hasn't worn it since. So why would he still have that same knowledge? You could argue he probably had that when he fought Logos, but why would he still have that now when we know he doesn't use it?
Well, see, just to correct you there, when he fought the Tiger guy and he beat it, he wasn't he wasn't wearing the amulet. That
Well, he
the
had the
thing that
Tiger
happened.
God's power.
Yeah, he had the Tiger God's power because he beat it, so he got the full power of, like, basically becoming the Tiger God. Yes,
Right.
But to go to what you're saying, what happened after that is that the Shaper of Worlds was put into a totem, and Librarian Galactus was holding that to make sure it doesn't get out. T'Challa was given the White Tiger God in a totem, not the amulet, a totem that held the full white tiger god in it. Now,
But he doesn't carry but that's what I'm saying. He doesn't use that. So like, why would he get the mastery of fighting from that if he doesn't use it?
because this is the thing, Casey. I'm going to explain that real quick.
All
See,
right, go
when
ahead.
it comes down to wearing the amulet, a lot of them wear. Ava wore the amulet because the tiger god was meant to possess. It possessed her. She submitted to its power. So wearing the amulet, she was possessed by it. So like I think one night a week, I believe was referenced. But when it comes to T'Challa, he never submitted to the power because like they said, reference to the whole thing, you don't give your full power to people who submit to you. You give your full power to people who conquer you. He conquered it, so he didn't have to submit to the power because he beat it. He actually beat the actual white tiger out of the whole thing. So carry around the totem or the amulet really wouldn't matter for him because he didn't do anything that the same white tiger people did. He actually beat it. So what would him wearing an amulet do? I mean, like he's not going to submit to it because he already beat the whole thing. So that is the only reason I feel like it doesn't change anything when it comes to his mastery because he already beat the thing. That was it.
I don't think that's you. Okay, so you're not really addressing my point because what I'm saying is you're saying that the power of the white tiger god grants the person mastery over martial arts, right? When you take the power and you own the power, you use the power, right? I'm saying whether T'Challa beat it or not is irrelevant to what I'm saying because I'm saying T'Challa does not use the power that he beat or that he attained from beating it. So why would he have the mastery that's given from that if he doesn't use that? That's what I'm saying.
All right, quick question to UK. How do you think they use the power?
What do you mean? How do I think they use the power? White Tiger uses it from the amulet because she has the amulet. You know, it bestows the power into her. And you're saying that T'Challa had it in the totem. And we see in Ultimates when he actually used the power of the White Tiger God, he like transformed into like this like Tiger God, Black Panther, like hybrid type of thing. I don't know what it was, but he was actually like actively using the abilities that came from the White Tiger God. And we know that after that, when he was done using those abilities, he had the White Tiger God trapped in like a little like orb or like a ball. I don't know if that's a totem. Yeah, he had it trapped in there, which would tell us that that's where the Tiger God's power is, and it's not currently present within T'Challa. So that's like he's not using it.
So my whole thing is that I think there's a thing here where you where wearing the amulet is kind of a thing. See, when it comes to Ava, when you're using the Tiger God power, like it's possessing them. Like I said, when they were using it, the Tiger God was active inside of them, do like basically a possession from them wearing the amulet. That is the difference in here. It was possessing them. They were submitting to it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like your whole thing is thinking differently because when it comes down to it, they were submitting to the power, submitting to it. Go ahead, Andrew. What were you say?
Yeah, so obviously I have no dog in this fight, but maybe if I could clarify Kay's question, and Kay, if I say this wrong, please correct me. Kay, are you asking that the White Tiger God powers is almost like a switch? Like you have to activate it in order to utilize it, or that you have to have the amulet to utilize it? Or is it something different? Because what it sounds like you're saying is like if he's not wearing the amulet or if he's not activating the powers, then he doesn't have the abilities turned off. Is that what you're
Yeah,
asking?
I'm basically saying, being that we know that the White Tiger's powers were trapped into the totem at the end of the Ultimates run, we know that it's not something that T'Challa just has in his base, right? It's not something that he just can call upon. So what I'm saying is, if we know that that he has to either use the totem to attain those abilities, why would he just be walking around with that mastery if he doesn't carry that consistently?
All right, so my question, this whole thing is like, do you think that after he conquered it and then got those superhuman powers and all that stuff, do you think he lost all the mastery after the whole thing was over? Do you think the mastery just disappeared? Is my question. Because I don't, but I'm just
That's
asking
what
you.
the guidebooks would suggest, that because he remains a master of only one form of combat. So it's not what I think, it's what Marvel continues to say about him.
But I'm asking you, is that what you think?
That's my answer.
Oh, okay.
Not just
If that's your answer.
losing the mastery, he also lost like the actual physical like prowess that he gained from the amulet. So if he lost like the physicality from it, wouldn't you say that he would also lose the mastery if he lost the other abilities as well?
No. No, I wouldn't.
I think we kind of moved away from the original point here because we didn't address something like at the start for the parameter. we know that the amulet itself and the Tiger God powers doesn't grant you a 7 in the first place because the previous White Tigers were 5s and Ava's a 6. So how does beating the White Tiger God or getting this amulet inherently make you a 7 or a master of all martial arts?
Well, the reason I said it's different for BP, because like I've already said this, the difference between him is that the thing that he's done is completely different than the other people. He studied all of the things. He has combat experience. He's able to learn and adapt to something and master it quickly due to just balance and coordination. Like I also stated earlier, the one thing different about him is that he's trained more than all of them have. He's been doing more than all of them have. It's a different story when it comes to him than other people, is what I'm saying. Because he's nothing like Ava. He's nothing like the Sons of the Tiger or any of them. But my whole thing has always been, it's never just one thing for T'Challa. It's always been that he studied those things. He has the combat experience. He can learn and master something quickly, and the Tiger God thing. So I feel like it's multiple things, not just one. So that is
So
the only
for the
reason I feel like he's
Tiger,
7.
so to that point, like if we're arguing that he's just skilled and he's able to adapt, and this Tiger God amulet power is just adding on to it, what evidence do we have to say that that inherently makes him a master of it, or makes him a master of more martial arts to the point where he's a master of all of them, rather than just being highly skilled and versatile?
But like I said, I'm going strictly by what it said in comics. The amulet grants you master of martial arts. Now the only reason I say the difference because he conquered it and he got the totem. So that's the only reason yeah.
One thing I just want to say this real quick: that statement that it grants mastery of martial arts, that's not actually stated in the comics. That's stated in like on the Marvel website. It's not verbatim stated in comics that it grants you martial arts mastery. We know that it makes people skilled, but it doesn't say that it's like verbatim mastery. So again, like back to like basically just to reinforce what Grayson asked you earlier. Why do you think that it's fair to use that information, like when it kind of like supports your narrative, but not use the guidebooks or like the power grid that Marvel actually uses on the website as well? Because if we use both, then the logical deduction that we could come to is that, like I said, when he's not using the amulet, it doesn't grant him the mastery.
See, this is my thing. See, I have to go back and find that on the actual scan where the Masters of Kung Fu said these kind of things, honestly. But like I said, I don't have to use that. My whole thing is I try to stick to the comics when it comes to this conversation, because my one thing is like that's why I went against the whole power grid, because I'm like, literally the power grid is not updated. It doesn't make sense. I'm pretty sure everybody up here can agree that damn near everything in the power grid doesn't make any sense at all. But to be honest, like when it comes down to what the amulet does compared to what he did, T'Challa's is different compared to what the other people did. That's why I feel like he has a master of all of them. Not what's up, Vagabond?
So Lucid, to address like the statement, right? So I do agree with Kay that if we're not using guidebooks or anything other than the comics, we shouldn't use it at all. But for argument's sake, if we do use it, just having mastery over martial arts doesn't inherently mean mastery of all martial arts, because when you're talking about martial arts, it could also just mean one. It's the same way that like if I asked you like let's just say you do Taekwondo, and I ask you like, oh, do you train martial arts? And you say yes because you train Taekwondo. You're not inherently saying that you train every single martial art. You're just saying you train martial arts. It's the same thing with this statement. Being like granting mastery over martial arts could just mean one. It doesn't mean all.
Well, see, you're going by the whole idea that the word all needs to be in there. But let's think. Let me throw another scenario out there. If someone says that they trained in all martial arts on the planet, saying they're skilled in everything on the planet, and then they got something that give them mastery over martial arts, does that just say one, or is that everything that they trained in? Just asking that question.
Well, it would be we can't quantify it to be all. So it could mean one, it could mean two. Like just mastery over martial arts in and of itself just means that it's over a martial art.
Well, that's the thing, man. I mean, when it comes to fighting styles, they're martial arts. Like even boxing is considered a martial art. So I mean,
exactly. That's why we say the statement of just mastery over martial arts doesn't inherently mean mastery of every single martial art, of martial arts as a whole.
Well, it is plural because it said mastery over martial art. It didn't say mastery over martial art. Mastery over martial arts. It didn't say.
What Abyss is saying is that even though it's plural, it doesn't mean that it's automatically all of them. It could just be 2 or 3.
Well, that would be that'd be a really weird thing to try to just put that out there when we're just gonna
Wait,
think
but
two. I'd be like,
hold
it's
on, hold on.
like,
So I have a question.
yeah,
So
I'm,
Okay,
I,
I'm gonna put a timeout in just a moment, Kay.
all right,
You can say what you want, and then I'm gonna just put a
okay,
timeout. But go ahead
okay,
real quick because I cut you
no,
off.
okay, because this is the thing. This is the thing, right? You're saying, okay, we're saying that based off of what's been stated, like the statements that you're using, right? You're using the Marvel website to support your claim with it being mastery over martial arts. We're using the Marvel website as well, which has Ava Ayala. Let's use Ava Ayala. She's the best example, right? She's ranked a 6, which means that she's a master of more than one martial art, right? So with that
okay,
being said, she using the White Tiger amulet isn't a 7. So that in itself is evidence that even though she has mastery over martial arts, it's not all of them because she's still a 6. And if we look at
okay.
T'Challa again on the Marvel website, ranked a 5, that would also be evidence that he's not a master of all forms of martial arts as well. So I feel like this conversation is not going to go anywhere if we just keep picking and choosing when we want to use the Marvel like websites or guidebooks when it's convenient for us. It's either we can use all of them, like it's either we can use it as a whole to support our arguments, or if we're not going to use them at all, we can't just go off of vague implications that don't actually say anything. Because if you're gonna decide not to use the guidebooks and you want to use the comics, you still have no verbatim statements of it being mastery over all forms of martial arts. So it still wouldn't prove your claim.
Respond to that, Lucid, because obviously I'm interjecting. I do want to move on to the next topic soon because while this is good, I think a lot of other people want to also jump on or talk about other topics. So, Lucid, I'll let you respond real quickly, and then I'll let you guys pick what the next topic is going to be.
Oh, that's so cool.
All right, well, yeah. So what I was saying with that whole thing, I mean, Kay, when you brought up Ava Ayala, like, see, no one was saying that she was a master of all martial arts. No one was ever making that claim at all. What Beta Ray Trey said earlier basically was because of her wearing the Tiger God amulet, she got the mastery from other people who also wore Tiger God amulets as well. So just like the other sons of the Tiger, basically she got their knowledge from the whole thing, and then that's where her mastery over martial arts came because from that. So no one was saying she was a 7. The reason I said it was different for T'Challa is because we know for a fact that T'Challa's trained in many other things. I mean, no one up here can deny that T'Challa has studied and trained on every martial art on the planet. So I mean, we can't.
Right.
So
I'm
my
not
whole
denying
thing
that at
here,
all.
yeah. So my whole thing was when it came down to it. Even if I wanted to take that the idea of that differently. Like I said, I was gonna go to the other comic because I need to go find that honestly, so I could with the Masters of Kung Fu. My
Right.
whole thing was he is a different case from Ava, from the Sons of Tiger, from the others. He's not like them, of course. So my whole thing here is that when we say mastery over martial arts, even if we're not using even if we're not using the website, because honestly, you don't have to. When it comes down to that, if he's trained in all of them and trained ever since he was young, and we know how quickly he can adapt and learn and master something, as that's referenced in the comics. My thing is that I don't find it hard to believe that he did. So that was my only thing of why
Right.
I said that. But
And okay, and fair, and that's your interpretation, right? But what we know for a fact, which is what is stated by Marvel, is that he's a 5. So with that being said, that would reinforce the interpretation that I presented, where I said that yes, the Tiger God amulet or totem, whatever, could grant you mastery over martial arts. But in T'Challa's case, being that he doesn't use that consistently, he doesn't have the mastery of martial arts that it granted him in that moment, or the skill and prowess that it would have granted him when he used that power set. As for Ava Ayala, those are characters. Ava Ayala and her her uncle or whoever it was, Hector Ayala, and the other person that had the Tiger God amulet. Those are characters who've had actual time with the amulet and have actual years in combat experience when using that power. So for them to still have their skills after not having the amulet or just not using the amulet would probably be due to the amount of time that they had with the amulet and then just being able to remember skills that they were, able to use. So with T'Challa, that's probably why he's still a 5.
okay,
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 can I ask a
cool.
question real quick?
Go ahead.
better check out.
Real quick.
Sure.
Why does it matter if someone is a master of all martial arts or not?
So Trey, to answer your question, it's not necessarily that it matters in T'Challa's case. It doesn't necessarily matter overall. It's just it matters in the context of versus battles, right? So like if we're comparing T'Challa to someone like Batman, right, who debatably is just as skilled in terms of battle IQ, just as skilled in terms of intelligence, just as strong, just as fast. Batman having mastery over more martial arts is going to give him a great advantage in combat. So that's why it matters when you're discussing versus battles against characters like that. If you're not a master of all martial arts and your opponent is, and they also have you either rivaled or outclassed in every other physical stat, there's just no way that you would win the fight. Yet there's still people who will argue till they're blue in the face that Black Panther wins. That's the reason why it matters. But if it were like Black Panther versus fucking, I don't know, like Captain America or some shit, another person who's not a master of all forms of hand-to-hand combat, and someone that is not as smart as T'Challa, then you can make the case that even though T'Challa doesn't have as much mastery as him, he could still win because he has advantages in other categories. So that's basically why it matters in this context.
So it's basically a Batman versus Black Panther thing then.
I mean,
that's where it
originally
started
stemmed
from, but that's not what we're arguing here.
But that's what I'm saying though. You see how during his explanation it was, well, Batman's smarter and Batman's this, but
No, but
that's
Trey, he's
his.
basically just giving you an analogy. It doesn't have to be
No,
with
I
Batman
get it.
specific.
Hold on,
But
Grayson. Let Trey talk, and then
Sorry.
yeah.
I've seen everybody's videos. I know their opinions and how they feel about this subject. That's why I'm saying once you start bringing in, oh well, this person's smarter or this person's this or this person's that, are we now picking and choosing? Like I said, does it actually matter? Because, well, if T'Challa has a suit that can absorb kinetic energy, what does Batman being stronger have to? Why is that? You know what I'm saying? What does that matter?
Well, so I understand the logic. Wait, sorry, are you finished or are you still going? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So I understand the logic that you're presenting, right? And that would be like stuff that we would have to argue during the debate because yes, T'Challa has an energy absorbing shoot. Batman has counters to that and ways to get around that. So, but that's not really like relevant to what's actually being discussed. Basically, what we're saying is right. Let me not. I don't even have to use Batman for this example. I could use anyone else. Let's use Shang-Chi, right? Shang-Chi. When we're discussing martial arts, there's like I said, I made a video. There's 3 major factors in martial arts that I think can make someone a better fighter than the other. It's your physicals at number 1, battle IQ and or experience at number 2, and number 3 is going to be the mastery of styles that you have, right? Now, if we look at someone like Shang-Chi, right, you can make the argument that Shang-Chi is faster than T'Challa in terms of combat speed due to his feats, right? And we know that Shang-Chi is better than T'Challa at martial arts because of his mastery. We know he has more mastery than T'Challa. He knows more styles. That's just, no one will argue that. With that being said, if we were talking about straight hands, because this isn't a battle where it's like, oh, full gear. If we were talking straight hands between T'Challa and Shang-Chi, it would come down to the fact that Shang-Chi's physically more imposing than T'Challa, and he knows more styles than T'Challa. Now, you could argue that T'Challa could combat this with his battle IQ or things of that nature, but then you would have to go into feats and explain the quality of each character's feats, and that's how you would determine the winner of that. So all we're saying is that if, like, the actual mastery that you have doesn't inherently matter unless, like, you're, like, heavily nerfed, or not even nerfed. You're just at a heavily disadvantaged in other categories. So, like, if you cannot prove that T'Challa is, let's say, actually, I'll just use a better example. I'll use a better analogy, right, to make it simple. If Black Panther was fighting the Flash would beat him up every single time because he's significantly faster than Black Panther, even though Black Panther would still be the more skilled fighter. So in that context, yes, mastery of martial arts does not matter for the Flash because he's just so much faster than T'Challa. But if we took the Flash, or not even that, if we took like Deathstroke, right, someone who is also a master of martial arts, right, and you could argue that he's also faster than T'Challa, then that's where the mastery of martial arts actually comes in and it plays a factor, because now we have someone who's not only better than you physically, but they're also better than you in that knowledge department as well. So now it's like you have no actual like argument to win the fight, if that makes sense. I don't know if you understand what that, like, if the analogy that I'm trying to present, but that's pretty much where it stems from.
With that being said, I think we've all taught, unless someone wants to do one last closing thing, but I think we should move on to another topic. I think there is obviously...
Tom is that we're moving on to another topic now. You could join up.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think at
please.
the end of the day, while there may be some disagreements, I think the one thing that a lot of people can agree on is that for the character of um, Black Panther, it doesn't matter. I think that's something everyone agreed on. Is that at the end of the
Yeah.
day, he is a masterful fighter, regardless if he's mastered all martial arts or if he has not. And I
Yeah.
think that's something we can definitely agree on when it comes down to that character. But
Exactly. Just to make things simple, it doesn't matter, but
What?
it just matters depending
Huh?
on who he's fighting.
All right, put the TV off.
Depending on the versus battle, that's when it matters, in my opinion.
yeah. Welcome up, Vagabond. How you doing?
Not too bad.
What's up,
So
Vagabond?
we're going to move on to the next topic. And I was going to say the speed of thought. If that's the topic you guys want to move
Huh?
to, we also have Thor,
Hey,
Elektra,
what talk you
and
doing over
Batman
there?
versus Wolverine. But I know this was
All
a
right,
hot topic people wanted to do, so
baby.
I just want to check with you guys to see what you want to talk about.
Oh wait, can we do the speed of thought? We also have I just realized we also have 4 more. I was gonna say Red Dragon because we have 4 Marvel people now.
Yeah.
Not to interrupt anybody because I know y'all doing all this. I'm about to go. Need to put my babies down
Okay.
because I got
No problem.
stuff to do. But just wanted to come up here. That's why I want to come up here and talk about this topic. Baby, hold on a second, all right? But good hopping up here. Good seeing everybody. So everybody be good.
I
Baby, stay right
appreciate you
there.
come up here, Lucid. I really do. I want everyone in the chat, please give Lucid a follow. He was he was the torchbearer, the flag holder for this debate, and I appreciate everything you brought to the table, brother. Your knowledge, your experience, everything. Thank you so much, and you have a great night. And make sure that little girl has a good night too.
All right. She will be.
Easy, Lucid.
Take care, man.
Bye bye.
Baby, say bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
Say bye bye.
Bye.
There you go.
We low-key need a 4th person now for the Marvel
Okay.
side for the speed of thought argument.
So
I'll mute
what we
myself. I'll mute myself for this, and so you can have a 3v3.
okay.
All right.
Cool. So the premise is very simple, right? The speed of thought is brought up into Marvel about how quick it is, and it's been utilized to say that. Well, basically, the question is the speed of thought faster in Marvel than the speeds that are brought up in DC? Okay, and you guys can dig deeper into that on how you want to go, but that's been a big kind of topic that's been thrown around is that, well, this character is faster than the speed of thought in Marvel, so they'd be able to react to, say, I don't know, Flash or Superman, right? So I'm going to open this up. Whoever wants to start first, I guess we'll just go around and ask everyone their positions on this real quickly, and then we'll just jump into it, okay? Let me boom. Oh, we got our 4th person with Nightcrawler. So Grayson, real quickly, do you think the speed of thought in Marvel is faster than speeds in DC?
No, I don't. I don't think the speed of thought in Marvel is faster than the speed of thought in DC.
Okay.
I think it's the same in both verses.
Okay. Abyss.
I think it's the same in both verses.
Got it. Panther God.
Same thing.
Okay. Beta Ray.
I would say about the same, but people misconstrue the speed of thought and what it is and how it applies to certain things. But I'll wait to see what everybody else says before I continue.
Okay, we can come back to that. Vagabond.
I think the speed of thought is faster in Marvel in regards to just the idea of the speed of thought. But I think Marvel's people use the speed of thought exceptionally wrong.
Okay. Gravity.
I think the speed of thought is the same in both verses.
Okay. And Nightcrawler.
I also believe the speed of thought are pretty much equals in both verses.
Hey, Andrew, do you have anybody else that's in the comments that can come pick up for me? I forgot I had to do something real quick on my other account.
If anyone wants to hop up, they can. If you want to open your space, we can keep it as a 3v3 and one of the DC people can mute up. But whatever. I appreciate you coming up here. Just like with Lucid, everyone, give my boy Panther God a follow. Great guy, great content. Let's support our community. Thank you, brother, for jumping
Everyone
up.
have a blessed day, my man. Y'all have a nice one.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You, bro.
So if any Marvel people want to come up, by all means, we want to keep this even. If someone wants to mute up for this discussion, they can definitely do so. On the DC side, just let me know who it is. But whoever wants to start with this, right? Beta Ray, I think you brought up something that you wanted to wait to see what everyone said. So if you're open to it, do you want to start the discussion on your thoughts on this?
Oh yeah. I was when I said people use it wrong. Me and Vagabond, we talk about this a lot. A lot of people will use the speed at which neurons fire instead of what the speed of thought is, because technically you really can't quantify thought and how thought is really instantaneous. You know what I'm saying? Like we can sit here and try, but a lot of times people are gauging reaction, and even scientists in the real world, that's how they thought. The speed of thought was measured by reaction time. And a lot of times, like Vagabond said, even a lot of Marvel characters or Marvel debaters really use the speed of thought wrong. And I think this is where it comes from, just not knowing the definition of it. Because if I'm not mistaken, there was a comic with Batman and the Flash. And Flash, he mentions the speed of thought being around 200 or something miles per hour, and I'm like, technically that's just the speed of neurons. That's not instant thought. With a lot of the Marvel instances that we see of speed of thought, it's usually instantaneous or near instantaneous. Like Magic using her portals to dodge Spectrum in mid-flight, that would be an instance of instantaneous speed of thought. But Captain America throwing his shield is not Captain America throwing his shield at light speeds. That's just him throwing his shield faster than what the person in front of him can react to. If that makes sense to anybody else up here.
Okay.
Get you.
Anyone else want to jump in?
I'll jump in. No one mind. Does anyone want to go? If someone wants to go, I feel like I've been talking a lot.
No, Kay, you go. Kay, you go first, and then we'll address the death metal statement later. So it's good to have a basis first.
All right. I mean, well, that's what I was gonna address. I was gonna address the death metal statement. I was gonna kind of
talk about it first. Like talk about everything else first, and then we can circle back to the death metal statement. Otherwise, like it's not gonna really prove the point. You know what I mean?
Nah, I feel what you're saying. All right. So here's it. So essentially to address what Trey was saying about like the speed of thought being instantaneous in Marvel, and also Vagabond, because Vagabond said he thinks it's faster in Marvel. Oh wait, quick question for Vagabond, just to clarify, because I don't want to like straw man you by any chance. So can you just clarify like why you think it's faster in Marvel?
All right, so there is a comic with Van Gogh in it, and the reason I use this is because it's the only real quantifiable speed for the speed of thought. Remember, when I say speed of thought, I mean the thought wave. I'm not talking about the speed at which actual people think. I think these are two separate concepts that a lot of Marvel fans try to blend together to overboost Marvel characters. But when you're talking about the thought wave, it is stated that it's something that can cross 1,000 galaxies in moments. And when you figure that this was created mostly to answer for why someone like Charles Xavier could talk to the Shi'ar Empire in real time, the purpose of the speed of thought was just to explain that. And so we have a distance and a time so we can get a general idea of speed. And it's a number that I don't remember off the top of my head, but when you take the size of a galaxy and the distance between galaxies, it's just a huge number. But we don't really have that with anything else. When we start looking at like DC, and I know I've seen your video where it talks about the speed of thought is instantaneous. But what is instantaneous? Is instantaneous for me is completely different than instantaneous for the Flash, because the Flash thinks in attoseconds, and I think at best, I think the death metal scan, which is based on real life science, which is the fastest neurons in our brain are 200 miles per second, I believe. So much slower than that, but I mean, instantaneous is basically your perception. So The reason I say the speed of thought for Marvel is faster than the speed of thought for DC is because in Marvel we actually have we have a basis of measurement, whereas DC we have a statement that's entirely dependent on the perception of the person that it's affecting. And for a lot of the characters, you would have to show that they were actually in an increased perception in order to say that the speed of thought being instantaneously was happening at those increased perceptions. Because we've seen with the Flash frequently that the speeds, what was I saying? We've seen with the Flash how he has to increase his perception to get there. We've seen with Superman that he has to increase his perception into super speed. He had the fight with Zod where Zod had to push him into super speed, which means all of these characters at base just standing around aren't in that increased perception speed. So anything that would happen to them would generally appear to be instantaneous, but does not necessarily mean that they're happening at a speed similar to what the speed of thought in Marvel is.
Fair enough. So I don't really disagree with most of what you said. The only disagreement that I have is that I feel like it's the same, like what you just explained with Marvel, where it's like the thought wave and like how actual characters think at different speeds. I think that that is the same exact thing in DC. And the reason why I think that is because in the scan that I showed in my video where it's stated to be instantaneous, which comes from Green Lantern 1960 number 30, it was stated that he was able, the Guardians, they were able to transport Hal Jordan from like, all right, can you guys hear me again? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear
Yeah,
you.
we can.
So in Green Lantern 1960 number 30, it was stated that they were able to transport Hal Jordan like literally like several like thousands of miles across the galaxy essentially to the distant world of Oa in an instant. So that would definitely be faster than light, obviously, because to travel like halfway across the galaxy to a whole different a different sector in the galaxy, you have to be faster than light to do that, especially in an instant, right? And if we go based off of the direct definition of instantaneous, it just means something happening immediately, so with zero time. So that would at a baseline make
I
it
would
faster than light.
kind of disagree there. Instantaneous can just mean in a short amount of time. With saying it means zero time is like saying instant ramen happens in zero time, and we know that's not true.
I disagree with that analogy because the term instant ramen like in itself is hyperbolic because it's just like, it's just a catchphrase for the package of noodles, but I guess. But hold up. Can you guys hear me? Because I'm like low key, like I'm closing
Nah,
out.
you keep cutting out. Like,
I'm cutting out.
Yeah,
All right.
you cut out just a little bit, bro.
All right, my fault. I'm saying if we look at the definition of instantaneous and we take it at face value, it means to happen immediately. So if something is happening immediately, and especially with the instance that I just showed, it would show that no matter the distance, at least in this scenario, that thought in DC is instantaneous no matter where you are. So if he can be teleported from fucking God knows where in the galaxy all the way to a different part of the galaxy in a split second based off of the instantaneous speed of thought, I don't see why the speed of thought wouldn't be instantaneous or the same exact speed as it is in Marvel, plus the consistent statements of it being faster than light in DC as well. Like Flash, he states that in the Flash 1987 number, I believe the issue's in the 200s, but he states that he's a lot faster than light, but a lot slower than thought. And then it's also stated in Justice League of America 1960 that the speed of thought is instantaneous as well. Now, as far as the whole like relative to the thinker thing that you like to argue, I feel like it's the same exact argument for Marvel, because if we want to use that logic, like you said that Flash has to increase his perception to super speed levels, or Superman has to increase his level to super speed levels, his perception, to super speed levels. We can use the same exact logic for Marvel characters. For example, if the speed of thought in Marvel is instantaneous universally, right? Every character would have to have instantaneous like perception as well, because your perception is directly related to your instantaneous thought processing. So with that being said, we've seen Wolverine, and I'm sure you don't think Wolverine is faster than light, do you? Like in terms of movement speed or travel speed. That's a question for you, Vagabond. Do you think Wolverine is faster than light?
No, not even a little bit.
Fair, right? So with that being said, we see that Wolverine consistently is able to perception blitz people and have them like legitimately not knowing what happens, right? So that would mean that they didn't see that he moves so fast that they couldn't perceive him. We already know he's not moving faster than light, so that would contradict the speed of thought being instantaneous in Marvel as well. So the same way you can find these contradictions for DC or say that it's relative to the thinker in DC, the same thing could be applied to characters in Marvel. We even see that again in I forget the exact
Let
comic
me
name.
stop you for just a second.
Yeah,
I
but
absolutely agree with that statement. Remember that I do not think that the speed of thought in Marvel is thinking speed. That it is this. It's the concept of the thought wave. So if we take Daredevil, or we take Wolverine, or we take any character who does not have a stated increased perception level, I do not believe their thinking speed is that much greater than the normal humans. And I hold
okay.
this constantly between both Marvel and DC. So
So then that's
to
fair.
make
That's
my
a
point
fair stance
clear,
then.
I
Okay.
do not think speed of thought is the actual thinking speed of the average Marvel person. If you take the real life science for this, it's like the fastest neurons in your brain are only 200 miles per second. The speed of light is 186,000 miles per second. If people in Marvel were thinking that fast, were able to perceive that fast, the amount of information they would be sifting through in fractions of a second would be crazy. It would literally be
Right.
flash territory. And I do not think any character outside of either somebody specifically stated or like your higher tiers like Silver Surfer actually fall into that category of increased perception. And most characters who do are going to have some sort of statement that backs it up. And I do not believe any of Marvel's street tiers fall into that category.
That's fair then, because so essentially what I'm saying is, would you say that it's the same in DC where the thought wave itself is faster than light and the actual thought speed of the thinker is different? If you share that stance, then I really have no contentions because then you just be saying it's the same in both verses, which
I
is
think
basically what we're
the
saying.
only difference for me is that Marvel gives an actual distance in time, and I haven't seen anything that would actually give you a distance in time for DC. That's the only real contention I have for it. But yes, I agree with you in the basic sentiment that the thinking speed of characters is not the speed of thought. Yeah, I mean, the entire Flash comic book on the DC side kind of puts that whole thing into perspective. And I use that in one of my old videos about this concept uh, when it popped up a while ago. That we know the average person doesn't think this fast because the Flash constantly tells us how he pushes his own thought process forward, and how Superman tells us they push his thought process forward. And on the Marvel side, we've got similar statements from Monica Rambeau and Silver Surfer. But when you're basic humanoid, no special mental powers, no, I don't think they think any quicker. There are some exceptions to it. Uh, But these are all characters that have something stating they have increased brain function, like Deathstroke over on the DC side has increased perception speed, and Captain America has his own statements that he has specific increased perception speeds. But again, I do not think any of them come close to the speed of light.
Fair. And so we're basically in agreement. The only thing I would say to you is that DC does have a quantification for how fast the speed of thought is. And I'll just show the scan right here. I'll read it to you guys too as well. So this is the scan I was referring to from Green Lantern 1960 number 30. And right here in this bottom right panel, it stated in an instant later on the unutterably distant world of Oa, the central galaxy of the cosmos, right? That's how far Green Lantern was teleported. So as you can see, he says, one of the Guardians states, "We have summoned your energy duplicate, which traverses space with the instantaneous speed of thought." So he was able to travel an to an unutterably distant world. Unutterably basically means like too great or unquantifiable. So he was able to travel an unquantifiable distance, which would basically just be like too far to calculate with the speed of thought. So that would be, again, faster than light at a bare minimum. And would, again, further substantiate me saying that it's instantaneous. And like, I understand that you're saying that instantaneous can vary due to your perception speed, which I agree with. But I feel like when they're talking about the speed of thought or the thought wave specifically, they're using instantaneous as like, you know, the direct definition, meaning that it's just happening immediately, no matter how far you are. So with that being said, being that in this game, he's able to travel an unquantifiable distance at the speed of thought, I think that that would also prove that it's just as fast as it is in Marvel. So if we agree that in both verses it's the same, that's pretty much like all that I wanted to kind of set in stone. Because I just don't understand why Marvel fans like to say that this character can move at the speed of thought, X, Y, and Z, and then when we try to say it, they're like, "Nah, the speed of thought is slower," and it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why, but I feel like we
Well,
pretty much agree.
intentions like
Marvel fans use
what are you
it
talking about?
because they need a speed rating because Marvel doesn't have a real Flash-like character. That's the main reason why people latch on to the speed of thought in the way they do. If the Marvel had a character more like the Flash, and I know everyone wants to say Quicksilver, but until very, very recently, Quicksilver was nothing like the Flash outside of being fast and not even on the same scale. It's just how people try and combat, but
Yeah. No, so that's fair. So I think everyone here is in agreement. So I don't know if anyone else has any contentions about anything.
Big Mouth,
Really?
One.
you're
And
separating the speed of thought like into reaction speed and processing power on one end, which you're arguing is not what they're referencing within Marvel. And then what is the thing that you're saying we're quantifying by saying that the speed of thought is able to travel that distance of the galaxies?
all right. So I would have to go back to the video I did a while ago when I think both my Marvel and DC videos are sitting right next to each other, and the Marvel one has, I think, the same scan that Andrew's got up behind him. I think that's the background image, but in the specific scan with Mangog, it's legitimately stated that the speed of thought could travel 1,000 galaxies in moments, and kind of like instantaneous moments is mostly a short amount of time, but it's enough to be quantifiable that being able to cross 1,000 galaxies and kind of like what Kay was talking about with transporting to a different spot is it's traveling in from here going in a straight line till we cross 1,000 galaxies. So we have a distance, we have a general idea of time, we have a general idea of what that speed would be. And as I said, it's been a while since I did the math on it, but it's ungodly astronomical number. And that's basically where I'm getting. But that's why I say the speed of thought is not but the speed people think at. Because there's other things in there. There's a instance where Charles Xavier was talking about it, and he's more or less going over how he's able to project his thoughts deep into space to have conversations. And that's why Marvel has this concept, is because it largely exists to explain why telepaths can send their thoughts deep into space. And
Oh, so you're saying it's like the thought wavelength, like of the thoughts themselves, rather than the
it's,
speed in which somebody is thinking?
yeah, it has nothing to do with the speed people think. It's a specific concept that solely exists to explain how a telepath can be on Earth and send their thoughts out to Shi'ar and have a one-to-one conversation with no lag
Okay,
in it.
I got you.
But
well,
there are characters who have statements that they can exceed this speed. But as I said, almost all of these characters are your upper tier. Even Monica Rambeau didn't get it until pretty damn recently. And the only few other characters I would put even close to that are going to be Nova with the helmet, because they've got this, the helmet breaks apart how they're actually increases their perception speed, and characters like Silver Surfer on the Marvel side.
Fair. So yeah, I feel like I don't know if anyone disagrees, but I agree. I think it's the same in both verses based on that logic. I just wanted it to be consistent with both sides.
Good. We spent an hour and a half on Black Panther. We spent 20 minutes on this. Quick and easy, right?
Exactly.
Middle
Um,
ground.
what would you guys like to do as a topic next? We can do Thor's power ups. Is he on the same level as Superman? Or we can do Elektra. Is she overrated or underrated? And finally, we can do Batman versus Wolverine. Whatever you
I think
guys
people are
decide.
waiting on Batman versus Wolverine, so we can like swap out some people too. Like I'll step down for that one. I know Cosmic, I'm pretty sure wants to come up for that.
Loco said Wolverine kills him. Loco, you care to come up here and defend that take, brother man?
Brother man.
Care to step up in a box?
Yo, real quick though, Nightcrawler, how you doing, bro? We haven't talked in a minute.
What about yourself, partner?
At 40K.
Damn.
What's going on, Andrew? What's up, everybody?
I
What's
glad to
happening?
miss
Me
us.
too.
Unless anyone contends otherwise, we'll do Batman versus Wolverine.
I'm down with it. I don't care.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, he down, I'm down.
Fucking Nightcrawler here, painting those 40Ks. I put all mine in storage. I still keep my Emperor's Champion though on my counter.
And then Andrew, I'm gonna step down so you have a spot open for a Marvel person.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Abyss, you can come up if you want to for another one, but in case you don't, please everyone give Abyss a follows. He's a new up and coming creator, does great work, great stuff. Just recently followed him, and like I said, let's continue supporting our community. Thank you very much, Abyss.
Thank you. See you later.
See ya. The topic is very clear. Batman versus Wolverine. Assuming that we're going to do a death battle within character, can Batman beat Wolverine, or is Wolverine going to come out on top consistently?
Wait,
We'll
if
run.
we're doing, I have a question. If we're doing a death battle, is it in character but willing to kill, or is it just out of character?
The way I look at in character, willing to kill, because that's what a death battle is.
Well, yeah. I mean, some people do death battles just like all more is
Blockbuster.
gone, just like bloodlusted. I mean, that's still technically the same thing, so it doesn't really matter. As long as both characters are willing to kill, then I agree with the parameters of the battle. So if we're
We'll run
doing,
through
is
the
it a
board
death
real.
battle or in character?
Well, what do you guys want to do? I'll allow that debate to be open to you guys because you guys are going to be the ones debating it.
I feel like death battle makes the most sense in my
Yeah,
opinion.
death battle.
I agree.
Death battle.
So we'll run through the board real quickly and tell me which character you think wins more often than not, and what percentage you think he wins by.
Andrew, do you
So
think we should wait
Grayson,
for? You think we should wait for another Marvel person to join, or is somebody going
if
to be there?
another Marvel person wants to come up, if not,
I'll
someone just has
just
to.
I'll just stay muted until another
Gravity, you just
Marvel person comes
monitor
up.
the scene.
Yeah,
You
honestly,
be
I'll just chill here, bro.
okay. Cool. So, Grayson, who do you think wins and by how
Wait, where's
much?
Loco? Loco was just in here talking crazy. Where he go? That's crazy. That man
No, I
left.
got Batman like mid to high diff.
That man dipped off. That's pretty. Why y'all do that? Why y'all be saying shit? Don't want to defend the take.
Hey, yo, K,
Okay,
heads
it's
up.
your
We're
turn,
going
bro.
around the board. Grayson
Oh,
just said
shit.
who wins what diff. Your turn.
I ain't even here. Oh, it's my turn to answer.
Yeah.
Oh, Batman mid diff. Actually, no. I'm gonna make. I'm gonna give a hot take. Batman low diff.
Oh, that's
All right,
actually
Beta
better.
Ray Trey, what do you think?
Out first.
Logan mid diff at best.
All right, Vagabond.
I got two answers. If we go pure death battle, like not based on what the characters actually do in character, Batman wins. Batman's just geared up too much, and all he's got to do is immobilize Logan. And once he's immobilized, he can shove a freaking one of those. He can shove anything down Logan's throat and just clog his lungs up and
There you
walk
go.
away. But
The W
if
take
we
right
if we
there.
do death battle in character, I'd give it to Logan.
Okay. All right. Nightcrawler.
Pretty much agree with Vagabond.
All right. Cosmic.
I also give it to Batman mid diff.
All right. So
Okay.
pretty much just anyone can start, I guess.
You've had
So for
probably the
who?
biggest contention, so maybe you should start off, and then we can bounce back and forth with the DC people, if that's okay with you.
You talking to me?
You,
Yeah,
you're
we
kind
can
of
hear you.
like delayed.
Yeah, you're kind of like delayed.
Good job, guys.
Probably because. Okay, can you hear me okay now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it must be a delay because of my AirPods. I was going to say, Beta Ray, if you want to start off because you had probably the most definitive Wolverine winning answer, you can definitely do so. If not, we can have someone else start.
All right, all right. Spotlight's on me. All right. The reason I say Logan mid diff based on these stipulations, one is because are we giving Batman just access to everything, or are we just standard gear based on what he has on his person?
It's standard
I
standard
Standard
gear.
think we should do
consistent.
base consistent,
Yeah,
like it's
standard
something
gear
that he's
consistent.
displayed multiple times on random occasions.
Yeah.
Like nothing he had to prep
Okay.
for. So like no Hellbat or anything like that. Just
Yeah.
base gear.
All right. Okay. Okay. Now, Cosmic, you actually made a video that I low key agreed with, but it was just certain. I agreed with your logic, but it was just things I didn't agree with how Wolverine would act in character. I think he's faster. I think he's more agile than people give him for. And with the adamantium claws, I mean, there's really nothing Bruce can do but dodge. And it's like with Wolverine getting faster and faster due to those animalistic, his animalistic fighting style and the berserker rage. How much can Bruce dodge before one of those claws get in? And then my other contention was Bruce doesn't know what adamantium is, and there are dozens of instances where Bruce against knives, swords, blades, claws, teeth, whatever, where the first thing he does is throw his forearms up to try to block with his gauntlet. So if he doesn't know about the adamantium claws and he's just assuming, okay, these are just metal claws, and he goes to throw his arm up, then what's stopping Wolverine from just slicing it off?
Was
Okay,
that all?
Grayson, Cosmic.
I thought it
Cosmic,
was,
you want to take it or?
or is it not for Cosmic? Is that an open question?
Open question.
Yeah, yeah.
Cosmic, do you want to take it or do you want me to take it?
You could take the armor, like if Wolverine goes to cut him and Batman goes to dodge thing.
Okay.
I mean, not dodge, block thing.
Um. So you want me to go now or do you want to go first? What do you
Go,
want?
go ahead, go ahead.
All right. So first things first. To address that, what we would have to go over first is speed, and that's where I disagree. I believe that Batman has the better speed showings out of the two, just more consistently. He's more consistently displayed the ability to move at FT speeds, even against characters like who can consistently perceive faster than light attacks. He's consistently been relativistic to the speed of light when it comes to combat and reaction speed. One example of that would be from Batman Confidential number 53, obviously, where he's able to not only kick Martian Manhunter, but also grab Aquaman and throw him, using him as a human shield, all before Green Lantern's light speed energy blast is able to reach him. So that, like at bare minimum, would be relativistic to the speed of light. He's also dodged Kryptonian heat vision after it's fired on like a shitload of occasions. So with that being said, I think Batman is the faster combatant. As far as like Logan actually landing like strikes on him, Batman in character when fighting animalistic characters or characters just, with animal traits. Like, if we're saying that this is bloodlusted, right? I'm assuming that Wolverine's already going to be in his berserker rage, because if he's bloodlusted, he'd already be at his like most angered state. So let's say he's in berserker rage. Now, he does kind of like display animalistic behaviors when he's in berserker rage. That doesn't mean that he gets like worse in terms of fighting skill. I know he's like still like a skilled fighter, and he still has his mental capacities in berserker rage. But in terms of like the actual character traits and how he looks in that state, he looks very animalistic, and his actions and maneuvers are very animalistic as well. With that being said, Batman in character against like characters like Killer Croc or just King Shark, characters like that animalistic type of character, Man Bat, he often resorts to using gadgets and playing the distance game. Now, if this is a death battle and we're saying that they start at a neutral distance, Trey, what would you say is a neutral distance for a death battle? Usually everyone agrees to like 100 feet away or like 50 feet at minimum. I don't know if you want to agree to that. We could even put them at 20 feet, to be honest. They don't really need to be super far away. What would you say is fair?
Yeah, I was gonna say 100 feet, 50 feet. Like, once again, that really depends on who makes the battle. You know what I'm saying? That's why I always
so fair. So let's
tell people, like, if you're gonna do it, give a location or something like that. So
right.
In a situation like this, I'd say 20, 25 feet, roughly. So 25 feet.
Fair. Okay. So I agree to that. 25 feet is a fair enough distance for a death battle. Now, being that even if you wanted to say Logan was, let's just say for sake of argument, Logan and Batman were equals in speed, right? Logan's whole plan of attack is predicated on getting in close and landing significant blows to Batman with his claws, whereas Batman has more versatility in terms of his plan of attack, right? He doesn't need to actually get close to Logan to attack him. Plus the fact that he can analyze Logan, and his battle IQ will let him know, like, hey, this guy is clearly an animal. I should probably try to keep my distance, analyze, and see how I can attack him. So, like I said, in character, he's often willing to use hypersonics. We saw in Cosmo, you correct me if I'm wrong, but it was, I believe it was from Detective Comics 2016, where he used hypersonics on a crowd of regular people.
It was Batman Secret Flight was 2018 issue 3.
Oh, Secret Flight. Okay. So yeah, he's in character. He's using hypersonics to stun a whole entire crowd, like of regular humans, like not enhanced people, just regular ass humans. He's willing to use hypersonics on them to stun them. We know Logan has enhanced senses, right? He can hear better than pretty much any normal human, right? I believe his senses were compared to Daredevil's at one point.
They were, yeah.
Yeah. With that being said, if Batman decides, okay, this guy's going to try to rush me, let me keep my distance and throw projectiles at him. Being that hypersonics aren't necessarily an attack that have to land directly, it's an AoE attack, meaning it affects a wide range area. I don't see how Logan would be able to dodge the effects of the hypersonic. So if Batman just throws them near Logan, like he could dodge it. Like he could, let's say he throws it at Logan, right? Logan moves out of the way. The effect of the blast is still going to target Logan and still hit him because of how wide the radius is. With that being said, once he gets hit by that, it's going to completely fuck his senses because of his enhanced senses, completely staggering him and stunning him. Batman at that point, with the genius tactician that he is, could use his hardening foam to immobilize him, which he's done in character several times. He did that against Damage, and he did that against Damage. He did that against regular humans in his 2011 run. He also uses it. He used it against Black Canary to render her canary cry useless. He's used it again off the top of my head. He used it a couple of times against regular humans just to immobilize crowds. So these are examples of him using them against non-superpowered beings in a event where he's fighting someone who's animalistic and he isn't sure about their capabilities. He would likely do these things to kind of play it safe throughout the battle, especially considering the fact he's willing to kill this person. So he would likely do that, immobilize Logan, and then go about what he needs to do to kill him. He could either tranquilize him from that point, which tranquilizers do work on Logan consistently in comics, or
even
if he
the ones
wants
that
to,
Batman,
he could suffocate
on the
Logan.
level. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kay. I thought you were done. My bad.
No, I'll say this one thing and then you could go. Or if Trey wants to rebut, he could rebut. Or he could just tranquilize him with the hardening foam, because in the instance that he used it against Damage, we saw that it was able to cover basically the entirety of Damage's body. Damage is, I believe, around 9 feet tall. Comparable to Hulk, he's about 9 feet tall, super wide. Wolverine's only 5'3", 300 pounds. So he's Damage dwarfs Wolverine, and it was able to cover Damage's entire body. So if Batman lands that canister on Logan, it would likely cover his entire body. And without Logan having the mobility to move around in it, he wouldn't be able to break through it, especially considering the fact that that foam is strong enough for Damage, who is a Superman level being in terms of physical strength. It was strong enough to kind of temporarily hold him down. So I don't see Logan being able to escape something that Damage can't escape, or that Damage struggled to escape from. So that's why I give it to Batman in a random encounter.
That was wow.
Honestly, to add on to what Kay said, like we have like almost like a main rivalry showing that like battle IQ and like ingenuity counters Wolverine's animalistic playstyle in Cyclops. Granted, it's not a complete 1-to-1, but we know that someone who's analytical and plays the range game can outright counter exactly what Wolverine can do.
True.
Yeah.
I also want to add on to
Best
like
X-Men.
for what Kay said as well in terms of speed. We've seen when Logan goes against someone like Shang-Chi, someone who Batman is faster than and arguably at bare minimum just as skilled. Logan was struggling to touch him, only getting one lick in, and he couldn't tag him for like the rest of the fight. And I believe I could be wrong, but I believe the only hit that he got in was because Shang-Chi was distracted too. So
Hey,
with Batman being what happened?
Sorry, I'm cutting you off, but like the reason he got a hit on Shang-Chi wasn't because Shang was distracted. It's because it's because he distracted Shang by saying something.
Yeah, like I said, I could be wrong, but since you like pretty much confirmed that, backed that up, then yeah, the only hit he got on Shang-Chi was because Shang was distracted. But someone like Shang-Chi who isn't as fast as Batman and at least like as equal to Batman in terms of skill, Logan couldn't touch him for the entire fight. And this was a Logan that was trying to. He was trying to save his mother or save a mutant teammate and put Shang-Chi down, and he couldn't touch Shang-Chi. So I think with that too, I don't think Logan is really having a speed advantage.
Honestly, I don't think Shang-Chi matters in this. All the same scaling we can use for Batman, we can pull off with Wolverine because he has so much experience with Cyclops. And Cyclops beams are all stated to be speed of light. So Shang-Chi doesn't matter because if we chain scale off of what you just went with, then Shang-Chi would dwarf Wolverine, and that would just make Shang-Chi even faster. But we're going just off of the normal scaling, the same scaling that gets Batman to speed of light. And Nightcrawler's our X-Men guy here. He's had enough fights and enough dodging of Cyclops with the same speed of light scaling that Shang-Chi doesn't matter. And to say that Batman's faster is disingenuous to me because all the same scaling, same type of scaling is there. Y'all know I'm not big on the speed of light scaling for characters at these levels, but if we're going to use it for Batman with Green Lantern or with Superman, then we can get half of Marvel there with Cyclops because he's shot his blasts and missed God knows how many people.
So I have a question. If like he's able to shoot his blast and Wolverine is consistently able to dodge it or get out of the way of it or react to it, but Wolverine couldn't tag Shang-Chi, then what does that mean?
That would put Shang-Chi even faster.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Hold
If
on.
if
we're just going to
and if
chain
Batman
scale off of
has
that.
and
Hold on.
and if Batman has greater feats than Shang-Chi, then does that just not matter?
It doesn't matter because we're chain scaling now. Because if Wolverine has all those exact same speed feats as Batman and Shang-Chi is faster than Wolverine, would that not put Batman,
Yeah.
or would that not put
Now,
Shang-Chi faster
Vagabond,
than
Cosmic,
Batman?
yeah,
The same
Cosmic
reason
Vagabond
why
is
we
right
would
in
say,
what he's explaining.
the same
You
way
said
we
what?
say that Shiva is faster than Batman because she
Yeah.
chain scales off of Batman.
I agree. So hold on, but this is what I would say. Like, I agree with the logic that you're presenting, but I disagree with the stance that you're like holding. Only because of this, right? Now we're saying that Wolverine, because he's reacted to light speed attacks and things of that nature, and Shang-Chi is faster than him, that would put Shang-Chi above Batman. But we would have to actually establish that Wolverine's speed feats are like equal to Batman's, right? And when we can't just say, okay, well, Wolverine's faster because he's also dodge light, right? We would have to look at those light speed attacks that he's dodging, right? And we have to take a few things into consideration. We have to take into consideration the distance between the attack and Logan, and we have to take into consideration whether he aim dodged them or not, or whether he traveled a noteworthy distance from the attack when he dodged it, right? So those are all things that matter when calculating speed. The instance that I gave for Batman, where he was able to basically complete 2 counter moves before a light speed attack reached him, would at bare minimum, I'm not gonna like do all the math for that shit right now, obviously, because we're just having a discussion, but the calculation for that would at bare minimum be relativistic to the speed of light, if not faster, right? So with that being said, if Logan doesn't have feats that compare to that specific feat, and if we want to go down the chain scaling route, there's other characters that Batman's outright perception blitz that are also faster than Logan in terms of reaction and combat speed. An example of that being Katana, right? Like Katana is a character who consistently throughout her inception has been able to consistently deflect light speed attacks with her sword, dodge light, like just consistently like deflect multiple blasts with her sword, etc. Right? And Batman is literally able to perception blitz her and one shot her in Superman Batman 2003, number 3, I think, or 4.
It was 4.
It's number 3.
Oh, number 3, yeah. So, like, we can go the chain scaling route with Batman, too. There's characters in DC who have insane speed feats that Batman scales above in terms of speed. So, basically, Vagabond, all I'm saying is, because I don't want to talk your ears off, but all I'm saying is we would have to basically analyze each character's feats and break them down one by one to actually determine who's faster. And I think based off of, like, what I've seen from both characters, I think Batman, when taking all those things into consideration, has the more impressive chain scaling and actual feats and showings.
Yeah, okay, I agree. That was basically saying, what you might call it, that basically that any feat that Shang-Chi has, Batman has also matched or has surpassed due to his greater speed feats.
Right.
Okay.
If anyone has any rebuttals, I feel like we didn't let Trey speak. I don't know if Trey was trying to say something because he looked like he unmuted a couple times and he was like ready to say something. So Trey, if you want to speak, you can attack anything.
Gotcha. Now, personally, I don't buy into the whole light speed thing, not even a little bit, because like Vagabond said, if that's the way we're going, then we have scaling via Cyclops, via Dazzler. He's like perception blitz several telepaths, and we know we just did the whole speed of light and speed of thought thing. So that whole who has the better feats, to me, that's just honestly, it's opinionated. Because now if we're going to go down the list of speed and distance and character, then we got to do all of that for Batman's feats, and we have to keep it down the line. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Both ways, debate it the same way, both ways. But here's what I'm saying. A couple of rebuttals. Wolverine has dealt with sonics a lot of times. Wolverine has dealt with tranquilizers, and here's why I tell people not to necessarily depend on respect threads, but they're not always going to give you the feats. You know what I'm saying? I don't have them right here, in front of me, but Wolverine has a very high resistance to, poisons and toxins and things of that nature. He's been blasted by Banshee. When Banshee was mind controlled, hit him full face, full force in the face. And Wolverine still was cognizant enough to pull his punch and not hurt him. So to me, a lot of the win cons Bats has, like you said, if you're going to put Wolverine in a berserker rage, well, everything gets increased, even if by a little bit. Durability, speed, agility, mobility, all of that gets bumped up a little bit. So now, sonic attacks, he runs through them. They don't phase him as much. You hit him with tranquilizers.
Wait, can I pause you? Can I pause you real quick? Because I want to address what you're saying about the Berserker Rage real quick. So while I do agree that Berserker Rage increases everything, it's also stated, I believe, that the Berserker Rage also increases his senses, making him more like acute and more focused, which would be a downside if someone's using hypersonics, because the higher your senses are, the more vulnerable you are to attacks like that.
I still want to throw in. No, you go ahead, Trey.
Go ahead. No. Go ahead, Cody. Remember, I gotta make sure y'all get y'all points off so I can get everything out.
I also wanted to throw in that his speed is just like a burst in speed. It's not something permanent. He gets a short burst in speed and then he goes right back to regular speed. That's it.
Now, okay. Now that also depends on the situation, on where his speed goes. We've seen him mow down in Berserker Rage. He's mowed down hundreds of competitors and enemies at once, and he doesn't get tired. We know that in a Berserker Rage, we've seen Wolverine can go Berserker Rage for days, where they have to find him and hunt him down and kind of beat him up, and then hit a collar, or then weaken him enough to the point where they can put him down outside of that Berserker Rage. against Mr. X, and yeah, I think it was Mr. X. We noticed that even in his berserker rage, he doesn't just swing and flail around. There's still skills involved. First time he fought Shang-Chi, and y'all seen my video on it. Due to
Yeah.
that animalistic nature, with the fact that his skills still retain, it's extremely hard to fight. Even with Shang trying his hardest not to, not to get in close and to create distance because of that animalistic nature and fighting style. Wolverine is staying on top of you. He's not giving you the instance to move, or he's not giving you, the time to back up. And with the the second Shang fight that everybody's mentioning, we have to also take and understand Shang is, we've all mentioned it, best fighter in Marvel, hands down. There's Shang, and then there's everybody else. If you actually go back and look at that fight, Wolverine was only missing Shane by inches. Like, it wasn't like he was just swinging and Shane was just dodging and completely outscaling everything. No, he was barely getting out of the way. And then even with the one shot he did land, he perception blitzed Shane. It wasn't like, he hit talk no jutsu and Shane was like, oh, well, wait a minute. No, they were still in the heat of the moment talking. And then he perception blitzed him with the elbow. So it's like, even though Shane had that speed advantage, it wasn't major. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing to me. If we're going to compare Batman and Shane and say they're equal in speed, or one is slightly better than the other, then to me it still doesn't matter, because Wolverine is still going to be right there in your face, making sure you can't breathe.
So what I would say is the key difference between Batman and Shang-Chi is, while sure you could argue Shang-Chi was trying to keep his distance from Wolverine, at the end of the day, Shang-Chi's point of attack is going to be with his hands and feet. So he, at the end of the day, has to eventually get in close to land significant blows. Batman legitimately can run around. Like, he doesn't need to get within a foot of Logan to attack at all. He can legit just run away the entire fight and still be effective. So, like, with that being said, like, sure, Logan was able to blitz that version of Shang-Chi. Meanwhile, that was a younger version of Shang-Chi. You could argue that Shang-Chi has improved and gotten faster over the years since then, but that's neither here nor there. With that being said, Batman, we could legitimately just say Batman and Wolverine are equals in speed, right? For the sake of the argument. If they start 25 feet away and Batman's already adopting the I'm going to keep my distance mentality and just spam gadgets until I figure out what this guy's deal is, he can legitimately just do that and keep his distance from Logan, because he has not only the attack potency with his gadgets, but the hacks with his gadgets to do so. Again, hypersonics, whether there's instances of Logan, someone in the comments was like, he took the Hulk's thunderclaps or something like that. Yeah, he was able to, like, keep fighting after that, but them shit still affected him, like, severely. So it's not like he just tanked them. They still damaged him. So you can't even really say that he tanked them. But with that being said, Batman using hypersonics, explosives, flashbangs. He could blind Logan with flashbangs. These are all things that cover huge radiuses. What else does he have? He could use smoke. He could use regular smoke, knockout gas. Oh, I didn't even bring that up. Batman deadass has, like, okay, so it's stated in Batman Killing Time. I don't know if you guys read this, but that came out in 2022. It's stated in Batman Killing Time that he always carries 150 knockout gas pellets on him. And in that same story, we see that he's able to release the entire capsule of knockout gas pellets onto the battlefield. So he can release all 150 of them onto the battlefield at once and completely just carpet bomb the area. We already know that Logan can be tranquilized and affected by, fatigue-inducing drugs like tranks and knockout gas. So with that being said, Batman could, in a death battle scenario, because in character, again, he did this in Batman Killing Time against regular people. In character, he will use these gadgets. He would literally do the same exact thing. And even if you want to argue that it wouldn't put Logan to sleep, it would slow Logan down to the point where he'd be slower than Batman. And then at that point, Batman could just pick him apart with gadgets. Again, hardening foam, actual tranquilizers. Shit, if we want to just use the brute force way, we can argue shot gauntlets, things of that nature. So me personally, I just think that Batman has too much, like, versatility for Logan to actually win, because Logan's just such a, I don't want to say he's one dimensional. Well, he is. He's just a one dimensional character in terms of his point of attack. He doesn't really have anything like outstanding that he could go to that Batman hasn't seen before. Like, so that's why I would give it to Batman, in my opinion. I just feel like it's just too many win cons.
Now, trust me, I hear y'all. Like I said, I for the most part, I agree with most of the win cons that you said. Like I said, Cosmic made a video, and I agree with the premise of it. You know what I'm saying? How y'all are setting it up. I'm not necessarily agreeing that Bats couldn't do these things, or he wouldn't, or they wouldn't have any effect. My whole thing is, like you said, if we're starting 25 feet away, and Wolverine, for better lack of terms, is either in a berserker rage or nearing that state of mind, he's coming in full force. And you said, well, Batman can just, keep retreating, keep backing up. Well, Wolverine can just keep coming forward. You know what I'm saying? And eventually, Bat's is gonna run out of gadgets and gear. And my whole thing, you said carpet bomb with smoke, and I'm like, well,
Sleeps, no,
Wolverine
not regular smoke, knockout gas.
I mean, not smoke, knockout gas. Yeah, excuse me, I'm sorry. And I'm like, well, Wolverine is savage, but he's not stupid. He can hold his breath. You know what I'm saying? He can move to an area that's not secluded. Well, not covered. I'm sorry, not secluded, but not covered in gas. You know what I mean? And like
Trey,
I
what if
said,
you
with the go
continue?
ahead.
Sorry, I cut you off. Sorry.
And like I was saying, with the adrenaline rush, and this is the thing about Wolverine, he doesn't necessarily need to go into berserker rage in order to get a stat increase. A lot of times, he just needs the adrenaline to get pumping. Couple bombs, and then the healing factor's up, the blood's up, he's moving faster, he's dodging faster. Batman has to continuously throw gear, dodge, throw gear. My whole thing is, if Wolverine doesn't give him that chance to create that distance like he normally does, like you said, Wolverine is usually a one-dimensional character, so he knows he has to get in close in order to deal damage, and he fought all sorts of people, from ninja magic monsters with martial arts skills, everything. He knows how to get in close and how to keep that, keep contained distance, so to speak. So my whole thing is, how fast, well, not how fast, but how long do we think Batman can keep running before he gets tagged?
Yeah, but Trey, I think what Kay and Cosmic are trying to say is that Batman's not just gonna be. It's like running away is a choice for Batman. If he needs to get in close, like what Kay brought up earlier with the shock gauntlets, that just puts him on the level of high tiers in terms of his AP. He hits Logan with that one or two times. That's gonna severely damage Logan. I know Logan has a great healing factor, of course, but something on that level will also damage Logan. But on top of that, Batman also has the gear such as the foam, the knockout gas, the fear toxin, all of this stuff that will give him the edge in this. I think that's what Cosmic and Kay are getting at.
Yo,
No. See, that's what I'm saying. I never
we're saying while he's
disagreed
retreating.
with
We're
that.
saying while he's retreating, he'll be
One
able
at a
to use
time,
those
guys.
gadgets.
One at a time.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, we were just saying. So basically, what we're saying is, it's not like Batman's just going to be running and not doing anything while he's running. We know that Batman is a master escape artist. He can attack while retreating. So while he's retreating, he's going to be throwing projectiles at Logan at the same exact time. And let's just say, I don't know where they're fighting. Are we fighting in a
city? I would imagine, just some random street.
If it's a city, then it's even worse, because now we factor in the fact that he can just grapple up to higher ground, and Logan has to run after him. But to make it fair, I would say let's go flat terrain, just so it's fair for both fighters. Because if it's if it's a city, then Batman he's just gonna he's gonna run literally he can run anywhere the entire fight, and Logan has to deadass just catch him. I don't think. Sorry.
Hey, Logan doesn't actually have to catch him, though. Logan just can walk into a building and force Batman to him. I mean, this can go either direction.
That's what I take it.
I mean, if Batman's just going to take off running, then now we're in BFR tech area because they have to come at each other. So if Batman's only strategy is to run away, stand on top of a building, and Logan goes in the building, well, now we've just stalemated these characters.
Well, even if so let's say Logan goes into a building. Batman has X-ray vision. He can see through buildings. He would just see exactly where Logan is standing. The building has windows. He could fire projectiles through windows of the building and fuck Logan inside.
And it'd be worse for Logan because there's nowhere to escape. Like he'd go outside
Yeah,
and be at the mercy of it.
that would be a dumbass decision on Logan's part.
Okay,
Batman's
because
not that.
now
If I, bro, trust me, if I can think of that, what the fuck do you think Batman is gonna do? That nigga will have
Nah,
a
okay,
field
you're
day.
actually smarter than Batman, bro.
Chill, bro.
okay, so now with that being said, like Vagabond said, if they go into a building and where Batman has X-ray vision, Wolverine still has his senses. So once again, we're still virtually at a stalemate. Because if you throw let's be totally honest, bro. Batman is not gonna throw a batarang from 300 yards through a small window around the corner. You know this. What's the movie called? Bullet or Sniper or whatever the fuck, where they were curving bullets and shit around the walls. Like
I think it's called Wanted.
realistically,
I know
watch
what
it,
it is.
watch it. Yeah, there you go. You know what I'm saying? Like eventually, Bats has to get eyesight and vision on Wolverine in order to make this an actual fight, or otherwise we're just kind of standing here. And my whole thing is Batman has to get in range. So if Batman is running away and he's throwing these, projectiles and everything behind him, if Wolverine just stops moving, right, Batman's going to run himself out of range. And now he has to come back into range where Wolverine would know, okay, he can't throw these batarangs or these bombs. He can only do it from a certain distance. All I have to do is keep that distance, maintain that distance in my head, and eventually I'm going to get close. See, now we're arguing, can Batman's gear put down Wolverine before he gets close enough? Like
Yeah,
y'all said,
I kind of hold on, okay. I want to
gens,
take that after he's finished.
tranquilizers,
yeah, go ahead. I mute.
Point tasers, all of that. Wolverine has dealt with all of it, and he's dealt with it in greater quantities and larger amounts than Batman has, and just as much, and he's been beat with less. But my whole thing is, if we're just looking at when he's been beat with less, and then going, yeah, that's what it takes, that level of take, I feel like that's being disingenuous to the conversation. If we're taking him at an elevated level emotionally, like I said, near berserker rage or just adrenaline boosted, how much do you think these different win cons are actually going to affect him? Because like mentioned in the comments, he took a thunderclap from Hulk. Well, yeah, he was pissed off. So normally that would have rattled his brain to the point where he couldn't, he wouldn't be able to move. But because he was pissed off before he got hit, all it did was just stun him enough, and then a few seconds later, he's right back on Hulk's ass. Like I'm saying, I'm not saying y'all don't have good win cons and great explanations for why Batman would win. Because like I said, to a certain degree, I actually agree with how he would do it. If I was Batman, that's exactly how I would fight Wolverine. But
Yeah,
my
but
whole
to
thing
Trey's
is,
point here, I'll kind of jump in on you. Sorry, Trey, but this
okay,
is
go ahead.
where we're using our knowledge of his opponent to give win cons. And this is why I'm not a big fan of death battles of this nature, is because it is us using our knowledge to give win cons. And that's why I said at the very start, on a pure death battle sense, yeah, I'd give it to Batman. He throws an expanding foam pellet down there, traps Wolverine, and then shoves a frickin' exploding battery down his throat and blows his head off and wanders off. I mean, Batman has win cons. I don't think anyone up here doesn't believe Batman has win cons. But if you're looking at these two characters with no actual knowledge of who the other one is, it's a lot harder for me and Trey to say that Batman wins this when we've all seen how Batman goes into most of his fights, especially even when he doesn't know anything about his opponents. He's going to get into a hand-to-hand battle with Logan, and I don't believe Logan comes into this in an enraged state. Logan doesn't need to be enraged to be bloodlusted. The man's basically permanently bloodlusted half the
That's
time
true.
anyways. So
Uh, I actually
if it starts at the two of them squaring up on each other, and they're going to go at each other because that's basically what they do, and it becomes a much harder fight for Batman. But if we give Batman doesn't have to fight like Batman, but can immediately use our knowledge of his opponent to know that he should be throwing Sonics, which, I mean, Wolverine's not above stabbing himself in the ear and blowing his own eardrums out, and Sonics go out the window, or Wolverine's not above to hurting himself to ignore something else that's happening to him. So he has his own ways around some of this stuff, but we're still using our personal knowledge, which is where I think the problems with pure death battle rules come into. Is too often we're creating the win cons different than what the characters would actually do, even in I don't like the term bloodlusted, but even in a willing to push past that moral boundary.
You finished.
Okay.
Vagabond.
Yeah, y'all can go. Sorry.
All right,
Yeah, I'm
so
kind of
I
long-winded.
agree
I
with you.
What's up?
apologize.
What happened?
Real quickly, Cosmo, before you go. I do want to wrap up this topic because I want to hit one more before we end the live. So,
Oh yeah.
Cosmic, say what you want to say, and then if anyone else wants to jump in and do like an ending statement, and then last topic is going to be the Elektra one.
Okay,
So
cool.
please continue.
I wanted to say, Vagabond, I totally agree with you. We're kind of taking this from our standpoint, stuff like this. Me personally, I don't believe Batman off the first start of the battle is gonna just keep his distance and throw gadgets. I believe Batman is gonna get into a hand-to-hand battle with Logan. But as me and Kay said, we do believe that Batman has the superior speed and superior. I believe Batman has
Yeah,
superior skills. So with
and
this, he'll have. What happened?
me and Kay have gone back and forth on scaling. We both know we're on complete opposite sides, but I do know where you guys are coming from with the speed scaling. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I understand where you're coming at with that point.
Well, even that, let's just give it equal speeds, right? Because let's not carry this on. Let's just give it equal speeds. Can we agree that Batman is more skilled?
I would
Yeah,
agree.
I have no real. I think I could say Logan has more experience, but Batman has more direct skill.
Okay, cool. So if we could agree Batman's more skilled, then me personally, I believe Batman would at least land the first hit or the first couple of hits. And once he does that, he will once he hits the middle, he will realize that Logan isn't just a regular guy. He has something that he can't hurt him physically, so he'll then have to resort to gadgets. But because Batman is that close in, like Beta Ray Trey said, Logan is not gonna let Batman get away. And this is what I totally agree of. I don't believe if Batman and Logan get in a hand-to-hand fight, I don't believe Batman could create distance. I believe Logan is too fast. I believe his animal instincts is too much for Batman to handle. So I do believe Batman will be, I mean, not Batman, believe Logan will be able to keep the distance closed. But Batman consistently has shown to have kinetic gadgets to keep his enemies away. He's shown to have sticky rocket propellers he could attach on his enemies and blast them away. He's shown to have a battering rocket that he could stick into his enemy, activate rocket thrusters, and blast them away super far.
Yeah, he did
And
that
he's shown
against
to
what
have
was
a
that, Karma?
battering. Yes, yeah, I guess Karma, yeah. And he's shown to have
Yeah,
batarangs that he could throw on the ground or just stick in your opponent, and it's like Black Panther shoot where it emits kinetic energy and blasts everybody away. So if Batman can't close the distance, he would resort to this gadget that could blast Logan away so he could get distance. And from there he will then use his gadgets such as Sonics. And if Logan does, what you might call it, bust out his eardrums to fight the Sonics, I don't think he will resort to that instantly. I think he'll be too stunned by the Sonics to do it immediately. He will probably have to fight through it and then he will do it. So I think at the time that he is stunned by the Sonics, that will give Batman time to then immobilize him with foam or tranks. But what I'm basically saying is I agree with everything you guys are saying. I just think the main factor of Batman winning is his kinetic energy weapons, such as his rocket propellers, his rocket batarangs, and his kinetic energy batarangs that will create the distance that he needs. That's all I had to say.
Awesome. So
I can agree with that.
and I think this was a great topic that a lot of people, even if we don't agree on everything, there was a lot of understanding each other and meeting each other halfway, and there was a lot of agreeing too. So I'm really happy that this discussion went as well as it did. I'm going to do one more discussion. We're going to do the Elektra one, and then I'm going to wrap up the live. But let me pull it up, and there's no time limit on us talking about this, but it will be the last topic of the night. And the topic is basically going to be Elektra. Is she an overrated or a underrated character in terms of being a street tier and a martial artist or combatant? So I'll allow you guys to go around. You can say what you want. You can start with Grayson, then go to Kay, Trey, Vagabond, Nightcrawler, Cosmic, and then Gravity. You might as well say stuff if you want, Gravity.
Let's go.
Poor
Hey, we should get a
Gravity's been
Kiss in here
relegated
too,
to
and I would mute up.
the random fourth
Yeah,
DC
facts, dude.
person.
He's atrocious right now, IRL.
Yeah, for those facts. Man, I'm just
Wait,
sitting in limbo
I
watching
have a
y'all. I
question
just be
regarding this
chilling.
topic. I just want clarification. So, like, when we ask is Electra overrated or underrated, are we like asking this in comparison to other street tiers, or just like? And when I say other street tiers, I mean like street tiers in DC and in Marvel, or are we just saying like is she underrated in Marvel specifically?
Yeah, I was thinking it was
I'd
like
say street
appraisal.
tiers in general. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, street tiers in general, I think she's overrated.
Okay.
Sure, I believe
Trey, you
it's
want to
your
go?
turn to speak.
Personally, I think she's underrated. I think I don't think it's by much though. I think a lot of her overratedness comes from recently. A lot of Marvel fans have been just piss poor scaling to try to get her above certain levels, and it does the character no justice. I think a lot of DC cats underrate her because they don't really know the context to a lot of her older feats, or they just don't read a lot of her older feats. And the same thing with the Marvel cats. You know, I had this conversation not too long ago where I was telling people like, how can we base her entire character off really the last 5 feats? You know what I'm saying? People use 5 feats when talking about her, and I'm like, that's not the entirety of her character. If you read everything about her, I think she's underrated. But that's just me.
Okay. Vagabond. I think from what I've seen on TikTok, I think she is underrated. I think if we were to put her feet for feet against a lot of people, she's right up there with so many guys. I mean, we talk about Batman punching holes through grenade-proof glass, but we've got Elektra either cracking Stark armor or punching or knocking out a set of blast doors. We've got a similar light dodging trap that scaling if you go that route, but even if you take out the light dodging stuff, we've got her showing some of the best consistent hand speed for most of these characters when you go by actual on panel what's shown. I think if people would actually look at her feet for feet in most of these groups, she's a consistent player. And even Marvel, I mean, you guys like to talk about the guidebooks, and I'm not going to lie and say I'm a big, huge fan of the guidebooks. I think there's issues there. But even Marvel's website puts her at number 3, but we've got people who will tell you that, oh, no, I don't think she's top 15. What one guy was saying earlier today, and I mean, it blows my mind. And I honestly think if some of you would give her the chance and read her books the way some of you picked up Shiva lately, I think she would go up a lot of your lists because I hear you talking about some of the things like her fight with Craven and the way she said something about surviving in the desert, and that's actually referencing something she's done before,
I was just
which
about to
would
say
give you
that.
more context on that situation. So I, I think if more of the DC side went in and just read her books and saw what I think a lot of the Marvel guys were, I don't think you would go to some of the extremes that I've seen Marvel guys do, but I do think some of you guys would change your opinion on her.
Okay. Nightcrawler?
I sit more on like a neutralistic view, kind of piggybacking off what Vagabond said. I do think Elektra has like a lot of like pretty amazing showings, but tend to be a good people that either over exaggerate or underplay those like situations for both sides. Um, just for mention, like especially like certain features not being like brought up that should like are more impressive than they actually are. Like her beating Silver Samurai being someone that's pretty consistently outskilled Wolverine. But then we use instances where she has a lot of good showings, but a lot of those showings get blown out of proportion sometimes.
Okay, Cosmic?
Hi,
I
I'm here now. I don't know where we are in the conversation, so I will get back to it. I just want to say one thing that I did hear before I left, quick. Vagabond, I heard you bring up the Marvel website, and how they have like the top 10 martial artists. If you click the link to where they got that from, which is the video that they have like attached to that list, they say in the description that it's a fan voted list. So because it's fan voted, I don't think we can use that to scale her.
I mean, we can go off of her actual showings too, but I think most of that's just going to start getting into, well, I
Nuances.
think the context is this, and I think the context is that.
Yeah, we'll get
I
there.
mean
We'll
that's
get there
how
when
fights
when we
work, though.
all
Fights have
started
Get
though.
context
to
to
that.
determine who's the winners.
Yes, but how we are, it becomes an interpretation issue. Because I know me and you've gone back and forth on the interpretation of a couple fights, and we are on complete opposite ends on how we interpret it.
Well, now we have more people around to give in their opinions, so I mean we can go over things one by one.
So let's just let everyone finish giving their opinions.
Yeah, so
I don't know who that is, but y'all hear somebody like blowing into their
I think it was
microphone.
Gravity.
It's Gravity going on his 2 mile run.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie. I'm already clocked in at 5.7 miles. Just walk during this live, bro. I just be walking, dude.
But I think this is just very dependent on like which way you talk about it. I think if you're talking about Elektra as an individual, then yeah, she could be like underrated. You know, maybe she's not overrated. Maybe she has actually amazing feats that put her up there with street tiers in Marvel, you know? But I think when you compare her to other street tiers and you compare the feats, then she's pretty much overrated. Because you compare her feats and literally everyone has done the same exact feat or a better feat. So I think it just depends on like how you talk about her. The best thing she has going for her is that she's very hot. Like that's automatically, you know. So but besides that, I think it just depends on how you talk about her.
Okay,
Gravity,
okay.
you want to go?
Hold on. Sorry, there's a car. So if oh wow, it's 32 if I were to say, I think for a while, I think she was fairly rated, but as of recently, I think she's been getting overrated. I think she's been by a lot of creators actually getting constantly compared to people that I don't think she's not only on the level on. I think some of these people, given their like base consistent arsenal, would actually like beat her up. So my thing is, I think of currently, she is overrated. You can go,
Okay.
Grayson.
Yeah, okay. So my take is pretty much similar to what Cosmic and Gravity said. I don't think inherently Elektra is an overrated character, but as of recently, who she's being compared to, characters like Batman, Deathstroke, like I think she was compared to like Wolverine, being stated to be equal to Wolverine. Like I think those are like crazy things to say about Elektra, and to say that she's on that level, and the fact that these feats are being blown out of proportion because of the lack of evidence when people state those feats. Like I just think she's overrated as of recently specifically. I guess you can go. I know you have a lot to say about this.
I just want first thing I want to say is sorry. I know you guys had an order. I didn't realize that until Gravity, and then it went to Grayson. So I'm sorry that I called out one of
Fuck you, bro.
Vagabond's
What
points
the
there.
hell?
So I think she's overrated simply because like I don't even really care about her crossverse stuff with DC. I think it's more like I just care about her inverse with Marvel, and I think she's been getting a lot of like love where it doesn't need to be, because the people that she's fought to get her like to these places in terms of skill, in terms of Marvel, I don't think are valid ways of getting her there. So I do think she's overrated.
Okay.
Okay, well then free discussion. What do you guys think?
About her, maybe like in comparison. Where do you guys place her in comparison to other street tiers?
Do
I
we go around for this one, or is it open?
It's open.
I would say she is comparable to Wolverine. One, she's outright contested him like outright, and then has fought many rogues who've either contested him or outpaced Wolverine in their own right as well. Like I mentioned, Silver Samurai. Not saying that they're direct equals, but saying they're not in the ballpark, I feel like is a little bit disingenuous.
I don't really. I mean, I don't know about Silver Samurai because in their most recent fight, Wolverine no diffed him with no difficulty whatsoever. And I know you might say like, oh yeah, but in the past, they had multiple fights where Silver Samurai might be become the winner, or where it's a stalemate, or it's a really hard fight. But I think what really matters is what's recent, what's current, because characters progress. Definitely Wolverine with a statement saying that he strives to become better. So most recently, Silver Samurai is like a no factor to him and isn't in the same ballpark.
Yeah, I think Marvel characters in terms of like their top tier skill is closer than a lot of people like want to say. So even though there's never like a really big jump between spots, like it's still a difference. And I think they were a lot closer like back in like the early 2000s. That's when Elektra was hanging with a lot of these people. But the thing is, Elektra just hasn't shown a lot of progression over time where other characters have. So I don't think her inverse on them still stands.
That's valid. I can agree with that.
Yeah, I actually agree. Like, I agree with that too. Like, for example, the Silver Samurai fight or the Craven fight. With Silver Samurai and Wolverine, they fought multiple times in the past, where it's been like very one-sided, not one-sided fights, but it could go either way, with either one becoming the winner. That's how close it is. But as of now, currently, Wolverine is no diffing him to where it's no contest. Or even the Craven fight with Craven and Wolverine. Craven is absolute. I mean, not Craven. I'm sorry. Wolverine is absolutely dominating Craven, but with Elektra, it's kind of like different.
Okay.
Wow. So I
Or
guess
with Captain America.
And these grasshoppers out here are loud.
well, it sounds like
Everyone's relatively in the same boat, right? Maybe a little bit of a difference in opinion, but like I feel as though there's a lot of everyone thinking she's kind of either underrated or overrated, but not by much. Like the Marvel fans are overrating them, but the DC fans are clearly underrating them, kind of situation.
Wait, people think DC fans are underrating her?
yeah.
In terms of what, like her cross verse against other DC characters?
I think that's
I
the
guess
question.
just in
Be
terms
answered
of
by the
portrayal
Marvel.
in general.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think it's in terms of general, of just people like underestimating her capabilities, not only cross verse but also inverse.
What's an example of that? Because I don't see that at all.
I'm not the one who said that. That was, I think, Vagabond, Trey, maybe someone else.
Because I see how I see it is somebody, I don't know who started it, but got her up at a certain spot, and then it was a solid like maybe couple days to a week where she was like held at this spot, and then the DC fans were trying to bring her down to where she was before, instead of trying to underrate her, like bring her down, if that makes sense.
Give a reality check is essentially what you're saying a bit.
Yeah.
It's not like underrating her. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, you can.
But see, I think in that so-called reality check, I think that's where a lot of the underrating came from. Cause like
What do you
if
mean,
I
like
said,
specifically, Trey?
cause
Like,
like
if you
if
can
I
give me like,
said, if I said, or if I showed y'all Midnighter punching a hole through somebody, people would call it cool. I showed Bloodshot punching holes through people. Everybody, oh my God, it's so cool. He's so strong. He's just that third. I show Elektra punching holes through people, and it's like, yeah, that's a mid feat. And I'm like, how is it a mid feat when hardly we've never seen really anybody do it? No other,
Trey, I
no
think the
other.
reason. I'm sorry, finish.
No, you go ahead. I was just gonna say no other street tier has really shown that
the ability to physically punch through people. And I'm like, why is that being so called underrated or lowballed in a sense?
So I think what you're referring to King Six's video in specific, right? Where he said that?
Well, not just six, but there are other
Yeah,
people,
like not just obviously not
yeah,
just I'm not calling Six out,
yeah,
but I'm just saying in general, like in
yeah, in
specific.
general, yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think when people say that it's like a mid feat, they mean like, oh, Elektra's mid or the feat itself isn't cool. Like, let's all be honest here, punching a hole through somebody is cool as fuck. But the fact that like they're saying because she can do this, she can hang with like the highest tier of street tier, like she's Spider Man, Batman, Wolverine, like all their level. Like I think that's where like people say, oh, this isn't on that level. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like anybody else on the DC side, because
I
that's what I'm
think
No,
I
saying.
think
I
we
also
call it
think
mid.
that
Go
okay,
Cosmic.
okay. I was gonna say I also think that people call it mid or don't take it as that high of a quality feat because she's doing it to like regular civilians. When she's an enhanced assassin that could fight on par with these other enhanced assassins or other enhanced beings, it's kind of common knowledge that she should be able to do this to like regular humans.
Yeah, but that goes back to what I said earlier. We will make a big deal about Batman taking multiple hits to break through some RPG-proof glass or bazooka-proof glass. But when Elektra does it through this big thing of steel doors, blast doors, don't, then all of a sudden, I mean, that's a direct AP feat. So why is there, we keep saying that we're overstating her, even though when you take her best feats and put them up against anyone else, they stack up just fine. I mean, we can take her Cape Crow fight. Everyone kind of
Hey, yo,
downplayed
I'm not
that,
gonna
but
lie.
we look at Karma, and Batman had a harder time with Karma than she had with Cape Crow. Shiva had the exact same fight with a guy back in the Bird of Prey, and she couldn't handle him. It was, what's her name? The girl in purple, Huntress. And Barbara Gordon had to figure out how to beat this guy. Shiva didn't know what the fuck to do with him, and he kept beating the hell out of her.
Wait, what are you talking? Wait,
Well,
what fight are you talking about?
wait,
He's
hold on, okay, hold
referring
on, okay.
to
So
It's
when we take these similar feats across the board, for some reason they don't seem to count for Elektra, but we give everybody else props for
Wait,
them.
can I,
And
Cosmic? Can
that's
I
why
say
we
something?
say
Because
you
I'm not
wait,
guys
gonna
wait,
lie.
wait,
are
wait.
underplaying.
You could attack the whole Shiva thing. I really don't care. I just want to attack this Batman thing. What you gonna call it? The whole Elektra and Cape Crow fight and the Batman Karma fight. We're not like downplaying it. It's a cool feat. We're just saying that there's context to it, right? Like Elektra was losing because he was reading her moves and he knew what she was gonna do. The same thing for Batman. Batman was losing because Karma was reading his moves and he knew what Batman was gonna do. So how did Elektra beat Cape Crow? Easy. She cleared her mind and fought an instinct, so he couldn't read her moves. How did Batman beat Karma? The same exact thing. He
No,
scrambled his
Batman
mind.
didn't he did not clear his mind.
I
Batman
didn't say
beat
that. I said
Karma.
scrambled.
He
I,
was
I
using it's a masking trick. He was thinking about other things so that he
that
couldn't.
yeah, he scrambled his mind. You didn't let me finish. You cut me off. He scrambled his mind so it could be multiple things that Karma is reading through his
But
mind, and he beat him
how
like
did
that.
Batman win that fight?
that's what Cosmic is saying. He
He,
scrambled his mind.
How did he actually win that fight, though? He did not actually beat Karma. He shoved an object into his shoulder and shot him off into. He
No, we're
BFR.
not talking about. We're talking about the second fight. The first fight he lost. That's what I said. The second fight when they had a rematch, he scrambled his mind, which made Karma not be able to read his mind, and then he won. He took off his mask. The same thing with Elektra. Elektra was losing the fight until she cleared her mind, and that gave her the advantage to win. You see what I'm saying? Like they both had the same exact situation, and they
But
both did the same exact thing to overcome the
that
same
goes
exact
back to my
situation.
point, though, that we have the exact same thing. Two characters who've done the exact same thing. So why is it different for Batman? Why isn't Batman underrated when he does it, but we're going to underrate Elektra for doing this, even though all these other characters, Wolverine against Mr. X, could not do it. We got, as I said, Shiva against. God, I wish I could remember this dude's name, but
I
it's
know
back
it's
in
I
an
know
tough.
what you're
The
old
talking
blonde
about. I
haired
birds
know what
guy,
you're
prey.
talking
right?
about. I know what you're talking
Yeah, the
about.
But
guy. She didn't. Okay, so the thing about Shiva
Yo,
though,
okay, let me finish this, bro. Attack it later. I
bro,
want to
you
finish
said,
this
bro, you said I could
No,
go,
you
bro.
did say Kay
because
could
he
handle the
just.
Shiva
I
part.
know, but he just brought up like he. Okay, you know what? Whatever. Go
Bro,
ahead.
you
Go
can
ahead. Go
go
ahead.
one
Go ahead.
second, bro. I'm gonna be quick, bro. So,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Vagabond, the Shiva shit that you're talking about, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about from the Birds of Prey, where it was that I forgot the character's name. I know exactly. It was a guy. He
it's a
could like,
white dude that,
yeah,
and they were,
he could read your mind to see what you're gonna do before you do it. And the
yeah.
reason why Shiva couldn't counteract what he was doing is because she dead ass just had no idea how he was doing it. And I don't even think that they fought for an extended amount of time. They had like two quick blows exchanged. He blocked both her attacks, and I think he hit her. And then that was it. And then she was like, I'm gonna figure out how you do that. And when I do, I will kill you or some shit like that. And then that was the end of it. So that was like a brief encounter. I don't think that that would be enough time to kind of say, oh, Shiva couldn't counteract what was going on. I just don't think she had enough time to figure out what he was doing. And even I think it even took time for Oracle to figure it out too. But um, basically, I wanted to say this about Elektra real quick, and then I'm gonna pass it back to Cosmic. I don't think that Elektra's feats are what make her overrated. I think it's when you compare. Okay, so like for example, right? Like we'll bring up Elektra. I think someone said before I got like kicked off the live because I was just inactive. Someone was referencing Midnight. I think it was Trey. Trey was like, "Oh, we'll see Midnight or punch a hole through somebody, and we'll say it's cool." But when Elektra does it, it's it's not that impressive. The reason why that is because we also have to look at other things that Midnighter's done. Midnighter's not just impressive because he punches holes through people. Midnighter's impressive because we've seen that motherfucker hold the jaws of a kaiju open. Like that's why Midnighter's impressive. So it's like it's his whole body of work, not one feat that he has that you could compare Elektra to. Like, sure, you can compare Elektra to Batman in the sense that, oh, she was able to fight someone who um could read her thoughts and things of that nature. But what she doesn't have is the ability to fight someone who transcends actual combat itself, which Batman has done, right? If we look at Deathstroke, right, this is another person who takes on the Teen Titans consistently, right, in groups. And he does this like by himself. Deathstroke's also consistently been able to take on hordes of people, like 300 people at once, like by his dolly
I
just with a
mean,
sword. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
Elektra
like
did that with
she did that with
Wolverine and
Wolverine,
Enemy
yeah,
of
I
the
know.
State. I mean, you can't, and
The
that's
only
why I
reason
said
why,
we're going to use,
let me
if
just
we
hold on,
can go
let me
feat
finish
by
real quick.
feat and we
Yo,
can match her up,
Vagabond.
Hold on,
like
Kay's
I
hold
not
on.
said,
Do
done.
we?
Kay's not
Hold on.
done.
That's my point. This is my point though. This is my point,
One at
right?
a time.
That was hold on. So Vagabond, this is my point, right? Sure, you could match that one Deathstroke feat with an Electro feat, but there's other feats. I was just spitballing feats like off the top of my head. There's other feats that characters have that Electra hasn't replicated though, which is what we're saying. And the level of competition in which she does it against isn't as high as it is in Crossverse at
yeah,
least.
that's
Now in Marvel,
personal. That's
huh?
I
personal.
also
You know, we both are going to disagree on that point
wait.
there,
Hold on,
that the
Vagabond. You
level
should
of
let him finish
competition is
because it's just
different.
gonna go. It's just gonna go circular. Just let him finish. You can go after.
No, I mean, I'm pretty much wrapping up what I was saying. That's all I
So
really
hurry it
wanted
up.
to say. Bro, what the Cosmic? Who the fuck
Yeah, hurry your ass up, bro.
All right,
bro,
Vagabond. You can go ahead now.
yeah,
As I
I'm
said,
done.
that
I guess what I
the
gotta say.
level of competition thing. I mean, you are DC guys and we're Marvel guys. We're both going to see that different because I don't think the level of competition is that different. And I mean, this goes back to the whole master of martial arts thing. But I mean, how many people who aren't master of martial arts have killed League assassins? I mean, I I don't think there's that big of a gap between the two companies. And even the two companies themselves don't believe there's that big of a gap in there. And we've seen that in every single crossover that they've done together. And so, I mean, we can take our personal biases or opinions and whatnot, but I just don't think we can definitively say that without more or less saying our own personal bias. Because if you say something like Batman has beaten someone who's transcended martial arts, and I know the feat you're talking about because some of Cosmic's videos, then we have 80 years, including recent stuff, that more or less counters that of Batman. Batman should be untouchable, but he's not. And you can't just say, well, everything's an off guard because everything's not an off guard.
I don't think everything's an off guard. That's not
I just think it
necessary.
has context as
Well, I mean,
like
everything's got context. We can context almost every fight to be in anyone's favor we want it to. It's really not that hard. What that doesn't, well, a lot of that involves us inferring more than what's on the page.
I mean
So, to Cosmic, can I go for that
yeah,
one?
go ahead.
Yeah, so when it comes to like the whole difference between Marvel and DC in terms of martial arts skill, a lot of what we're arguing is that in terms of base martial arts skill, DC is superior due to having more evidence and explicit statements. But in terms of overall fighting ability, the reason why Marvel can hang with people like that, or why like they're even contendable in debates, is especially because of their physicals, battle IQ, hacks, things along that nature. And it's like Kay said in his video, skill isn't the only determining factor in what makes us like a fighter and like a competent fighter. So when we're saying things like there's a gap between DC and Marvel, it's specifically in hand-to-hand skill in terms of martial arts. So something for like Elektra, for example, right? For one of the points as to why she's inferior in our opinions, it would be in the specific martial arts skill department. Now, it's not to say her other things like her physicals and her hacks can't help her compete. It's just when we're isolating things specifically to martial arts, that's what we're talking about.
Oh no, Abyss, I think that Elektra gets dogged like hand to hand, like just overall, like not just in terms of like her knowledge. I think like just as a fighter in general, she would like lose to a lot of people in DC.
Oh,
Like
I do too. It's
You
just
see,
for
this
the
why
sake
nobody
of
respects you, Kay. This why nobody respects
I
you.
do too, Josh. Just when we're talking about overall
Yeah,
the difference
obviously, you're
between
fucking
Marvel on
biased.
average and DC on average, that's primarily what we're talking about. And then we get into the individualistic things in terms of 1v1 matchups.
Hey guys,
Abyss, I
real
can't
quick,
I can't
real,
necessarily agree with that.
real quickly.
Before you guys continue, there is an offset of DC people to Marvel people. Are you guys okay with that for discussion purposes?
Honestly,
I
I
mean,
don't
it's
care much
11
for this
o'clock. I'm
topic, so
about
I
to
can
leave
hop
soon
down.
anyways.
I just so we have 5 DC people, and I wanted to keep that even, Steven. But if Trey and Vagabond are okay with it for the short time we're still here, that's
No,
up to
as
them.
I say, it's going on 11 o'clock my time, and I got work in the morning, so I'm
Yeah, man.
kind of getting debated out for the second. This would have to be something we pick up later on.
That's fine. We can. We'll wrap up. Hold on 1 second. How about I do this? Boom. How about we do this? Let's do closing statements on this particular topic, and then we can wrap things up. I'm sure DC wants to say something because he just hopped up.
He was late.
We
You
should.
don't get a
I
chance.
can, because you guys were already kind of like proceeding with like a conversation. I can wait to the end to say my piece.
Okay.
Trey, what were you talking about?
Oh, like I was saying, I don't necessarily agree with that premise of DC having more explicit statements of certain characters being master martial artists. I think, excuse me, I think there are a handful of characters who have that title, and a lot of people like to scale off of that. And in reality, I don't. A lot of Marvel characters don't get that same kind of benefit of the doubt when it comes to scaling. Like DC fans will go, the League of Assassins are all masters of martial arts, right? And basically, whoever can beat them is also a master of martial arts. But then when we go, well, the hand, pretty much the same thing, and they're physically enhanced. It's like, no, this Marvel character didn't actually use skill. He used power. He used speed. He was this. He was that. What I'm like, well, how is that not? How is that logic still not applicable to DC characters? Now, to an extent, I do see where y'all are coming from when y'all say DC has better, I guess, pure martial artists, because a lot of Marvel characters do have powers. But in my opinion, you can take all the steroids you want. That's not gonna make you more skilled. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it'll make you
So,
stronger. It'll make you faster, but you'll still get beat.
yeah, I agree with that.
Real
I
quick,
agree with
before you
that
go,
statement,
Abyss.
but
Before you go, Abyss.
go for it.
Whoever's munching on those chips, could you just mute up real quick?
Before you mute
Somebody
up,
type
slide
on
me
track.
some. Before you mute up, slide me some.
Yeah, so Trey,
So the whole steroids thing, yeah, we agree with that, right? We agree with the fact that physicals do play a part, and you can have as much steroids as you want and you can still get beat up. We agree with that. That's why we say that, at least I say that there's a differentiator between pure martial arts skill and fighting ability overall, because physicals would play a factor into that. I'm not sure if everybody agrees with me on my side of the panel, but that's where I stand on that specific thing. When it comes to the League of Assassins stuff, I don't think anybody specifically says, oh, you beat the League of Assassins, you're now a master of all martial arts. Most people that I've heard when they bring up the League of Assassins, it's saying that these characters can beat people who are masters of all martial arts. And the third thing is, the reason why people don't keep the same energy with the hand is because, unlike the League of Assassins, the hand it wasn't given a statement like that. We never get an explicit statement on their level of mastery over martial arts. The closest things we have are they're the most highly trained, and Black Panther saying that they're barely versed in martial arts. So I don't think that's an equivalence in terms of comparison.
Yeah. Because the Home Ninja aren't actually like stated to be masters of all forms of hand-to-hand combat. We just know that they're physically enhanced, and as far as enhancements, without any actual performance of feats or showing those enhancements, we could just assume that they're enhanced to the levels of peak human. But the League of Assassins are the same exact thing. So the League of Assassins would have them rivaled in not only physicals, but they would also surpass them when it comes to actual knowledge and mastery. Which is why when we see goon busting
But yet
feats,
they
like
continue.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was totally my bad. I cut you off.
No, you're good. I was gonna say that's why when we see characters like Batman, for example, have statements that not even 1,000 League of Assassins members can beat him, or statements for Tim Drake where Nightwing says that to beat Tim Drake, he would start with 1,000 League of Assassins members. That's why we consider those feats more impressive than hand ninja feats, because the hand as a whole just aren't as competent as League of Assassin ninjas.
Yeah, but
Okay,
I mean, now we're getting into level of hyperbolic statement versus actual on-panel feats, because now we have Elektra,
thank you.
when her and Wolverine double teamed an actual group of hand ninjas, and they've done it on countless occasions, including the big one in Enemy of the State, versus a statement of what could happen, even though we've seen comparatively less League of Assassin members being either doing really well against them, or their best showing would be the couple hundred, I think, that Cass went up against, and they roughed Cass up, even though she still walked out the winner of that.
So
So
wait,
Can I attack that? Can I attack that? Can I
bro,
attack that?
I was about to, bro. Please,
I
bro.
know, but I
Actually,
like,
all
bro.
right,
I
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
wanted
Yeah,
to.
okay, me and you
Yeah,
both want to let
Here's the
Cosmic
funny
go.
thing.
this
Here's
is
the funny thing.
Batman,
I
bro.
thought
This
I
is
would have to
Batman.
separate the Marvel people from the DC people on arguing. It's K and Cosmic I have to separate. You guys are just
Bro, it's
back and forth so
Batman.
much.
I have to. But
I would love.
I wanted to say that with the whole statement, I don't think it's a hyperbolic statement, because you said like they have the statement of Batman possibly being able to beat 1,000 League of Assassin members but then lose to less. But with that statement, it wasn't like a possible statement. It was a statement saying that like Batman can. It was a direct statement, not a possible statement, that 1,000 League of Assassin members can't beat Batman, and we've
but
seen
has
that
he
he
done it?
doesn't
Do
lose
you
to
have an
less people.
actual feat of it?
But then
Because we
I
have an
mean, but
actual feat of
hold on.
Elektra going up against a huge number of characters. We have a feat of Batman against the soldiers, but they're
No,
not
this.
League of Assassin
But
members.
hold on,
We've
hold
only
on,
really got
hold on, DC, hold on,
Cass
DC, hold on,
with a
DC.
huge number of people.
Vagabond, I think you should
This
let
is
Cosmic finish, and then
this is the
you'll get
thing,
it.
though, right? You said is there a feat for it, but there doesn't need to be a feat for it if there's no contradictions to it. We see Batman consistently go up against a large number of League of Assassin members, and every single time he goes up against large numbers of League of Assassin members, he always no-dissed them every single time. So
Also,
there's
wait,
no
wait.
That's not
Let
true.
contradiction.
me piggyback. Let me piggyback off of that. Let me piggyback off that
Joe,
because there
okay,
is
all right,
feats. Nah, because there is feats. Your ass is
That's
missing it. Like,
all
crazy.
your
right,
ass is
all right,
feats.
all right.
So, Vagabond, you said, are there actually any feats of that? I'm sure that you would agree that Nightwing isn't superior to Batman in hand-to-hand combat. And in Nightwing 1996, number 138, Nightwing actually mops through majority of the 1,000 League of Assassin members that were there at the Wayne Manor by himself. And Nightwing again is below
So
Batman. So using that, we could logically
why
assume
doesn't
that
that
Batman
make
is a
them
superior.
stars then?
Wait, hold on,
So
hold on. Kay,
What?
hold on. You could continue off of this, Kay. I just want to also attack this casting. With the casting that you're talking about, how she fought League of Assassin members and came out like very scratched up or messed up. Those weren't League of Assassin members. Those were Bat soldiers that had like the perfect fighting styles and training of Batman themselves. When Cass did fight, I think like
nah,
$2,000.
that was the League of
No, no,
Shadows.
No,
no.
those were
She
League of
fought those
Assassins.
before. She
Those
was
were
injured, and
Shiva
then she fought.
specific
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
those are
soldiers.
the League of Shadows.
oh, you're
But
talking
those
about
were hold on,
Detective
but
Comics 156.
those League of Shadows members were stated to be better than the League of Assassins because they were trained by Shiva, and
All right,
Shiva
cool,
like
dang. All
is
right,
narratively the best martial artist in DC. So
all right, Kay,
those
you
League of
got it from me.
Assassins,
We're gonna start
huh?
this argument for nothing.
No,
All
I
right,
said you
nah.
got it from me. You got it from here.
Oh yeah, yeah. Not so
Crazy.
vagabond. Those League of Assassin ninjas that not League of Assassins, but the League of Shadows, they're a separate like sub faction of the League of Assassins that were primarily given to Shiva, and she trained them and made them better than what the actual regular League of Assassins are. This is why Ra's al Ghul tried to get Batman to stop her like by himself because he knew that him and his men couldn't do it. So that was like the whole point of that story arc. But so yeah, the League of the Shadows that Cass beat, they were more skilled than the normal League of Assassins member that is just a master of all forms of martial arts. But with that being said, like I said, Nightwing, who we know is, you could argue he's equal to Batman, but like even if you want to say that they're equal, Nightwing by himself was able to clear through like at least like 600 League of Assassins members by himself at the Wayne Manor, with Tim and Damian in the Batcave alone handling the rest of them, right? And during that, he's worried about like saving Damian and Tim at the same time, so he's also distracted while doing this. And he also notes during that fight that 1,000 members of the League of Assassins is what he would start with for Tim Drake, meaning that like if I had to take down Tim, I'd send 1,000. So that's him saying how skilled Tim is. We know Batman is leaps and bounds beyond Tim in combat because we just saw it recently in fucking 137. He fucked up him and Red Hood at the same time. So like it's very narratively consistent that Batman can beat up 1,000 League of Assassins members if he needed to. And to even further substantiate that,
What book
in
did y'all say that happened in?
which
Which one?
one? The Nightwing
The
feat?
Nightwing that y'all are talking about.
Nightwing 1998 number 136 or 138?
138.
Oh, 138, yeah.
Of
It's
course,
during
Grayson would know.
the Batman and Son arc
Of
when
course I
Damian
would.
Wayne first arrives to Gotham. But also to further piggyback on that, in that same arc in Batman 1940, I believe it's number 6. I think it's in the 660s. Batman, he actually fights like 15 plus ninja man-bat commandos. Those are basically League of Assassin members that are given the man-bat serum, so they retain all of their like they retain all of their
Skill.
skill and mastery of martial arts, but now they're enhanced with superhuman strength and physicals of man-bats. For those of you who don't know, man-bats are strong enough to basically pick up cars with their feet and haul them. Like they're strong as shit, right? So he fought 15 plus of those soldiers that were armed.
Hold on. Where
Again,
does it say they keep
skilled.
their skills?
No. I'm just saying to like further substantiate the claim that he can beat up 1,000 League of Assassins members. He took on 15 plus League of Assassins members who were amped with physical strength, like physical superhuman strength that allows him to
But
like
where
easily
does
toss
but
cars and shit. And he did that with
I
his
get
bare
that.
hands in a suit and
I
tie.
get that, but where does it say they kept their skills after being turned into a
Trey,
man bat?
why
Wait,
wouldn't they keep
hold
their
on.
skills?
I'll answer his question. Don't worry about it. I
Because
got it.
turning into an
And,
animal would affect your mind like it did Kurt,
right, but we saw.
like
Okay,
it
so
did man bat.
the reason why we know for a fact that they still kept their skills is because number one, when Talia describes them to Batman, she says that they're her elite ninja man-bat commandos, right? And they also follow Talia al Ghul's like every instruction, right? She told them to she told them to capture Batman. They did that, and if they don't display like any animalistic qualities. Like obviously they're man-bats, so they fight animalistically because they're now animals, but they're like very obedient. They actually do what they're told. They can follow orders. So there would be no reason for us to assume that they lost their fighting skills.
They also
Also,
still use weapons such as
Okay, so
swords
hold
and
on.
right,
gadgets.
they also use
And they,
weapons.
oh yeah,
Because
they
I'm pretty sure
They
in Red Hood's
use
comic,
swords.
they also still use weapons. They use swords and shit too. Like they that still carry weapons.
also, I'm
Okay,
pretty sure in
so
Red Hood's like own comic, it was stated that Shiva was the one who trained those man bats. I don't know why you would get a martial artist to train like animals, right? If they didn't
Yeah,
keep their
exactly.
skill.
I forgot. Yeah, you're right about that. I forgot
okay,
that happened too.
so no actual evidence that they kept their skills. You say why would they? They're trained, like you said. You can train a dog to do anything. That doesn't make the dog super skilled. So I'm asking for like direct evidence where they kept their skills from because we're just making a bunch of assumptions right now.
Wait. Are we
No,
assuming
okay, but
that
that's
the
Occam's razor. We're just
wait,
going with we're going with the like most simple scenario, right?
can I
Oh, go ahead,
But
DC.
the simple
can I
scenario is
ask a
not
question?
always
I
the
I
truth,
just need
though.
clarification really quickly. Are we saying that the League of Assassins lost their skill? Is that the claim that's
When
going
they
on?
turn
Apparently,
into man bats, well, that's
yeah.
what Beta Ray Trey is arguing, I guess.
Um,
But that
I
would be his
and I
burden
hate
too.
to then ask this question, but better a Trey, what implies that turning into a man bat means that you've lost your like skill?
Oh, like I was saying earlier, the whole transformation of being turned into an animal or an animal. Well, yeah, an animal. I said we seen other man bats and we seen the man bat to, like Kay just said, to a certain extent they go animalistic. It's not complete. Like you mentioned, they were still carrying swords and still following orders. So to that point, I didn't necessarily say they were completely mindless. I said what happened to the skills? Are the skills still there? And we're going, maybe they're still there, and they were trained, and they still were able to do this. I can, like I said, I can train a dog to bark on command. That doesn't mean it can speak on its own.
Wait, but
That's
what you
all I
would
was
have to
saying.
substantiate that when man bats turn into, I mean, going animalistic, right? Even those man bats, uh, those man bats, when they're like, when they're shown and they come from behind Talia al Ghul, they're very clearly shown to like still have their minds intact, and this animalistic, this animalistic nature that some man bats have shown in the past, they definitely don't apply to these man bats, right? So. And I think the author's intent of like writing the story with these man bats with the capability to fight, even with to the point to where they had katanas on them. I think the author's intent was to show you that they were still skilled even in man bat form. So I think you would need to substantiate why you believe these man bats have all of a sudden like lost their skill.
It was
Also, I
also
wanted to
stated
add
that they
something, but just
perfected the
before you
serum
go,
too.
Trey, I just wanted to add the you're using Kirk Langstrom as like the comparison to these man bats when they're not given the exact same serum. Kirk was given like an experiment, like he experimented on himself. It wasn't like the finalized serum. These man bats are given like a new version, and that's why they are so like I don't want to say submissive, but they're like intact, like their mind is intact with what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They know what they're saying, how they're acting, all that. Go ahead now.
Oh, okay. So yeah, like I was saying, I'm not totally disagreeing with y'all, but I'm not totally agreeing with the fact that they kept all, they were still master martial artists in the sense of being transformed. You know what I'm saying? And just to me, just off the evidence that y'all have presented, is just, in my opinion, just not a strong enough case.
Is anyone gonna answer him or?
Oh
I
man,
don't know.
I thought everybody, like, I was looking around like, oh shit, what happened?
I,
I'm playing Mortal Kombat, so that's like I'm like
Honestly, I'm
not
so
even
sorry.
thinking.
Nah,
Are you
lock
losing,
in.
bro?
You wanted to take this so bad. Lock in,
I
gang.
wait. I got a call. I can respond to what you were saying? Can you can you say it one more time? I apologize. I was just in a call. Better rate, Trey, if you could repeat what you were saying.
Oh, like I was saying, I wasn't totally disagreeing with the fact that they were still, those man bats were still somewhat in control or still had somewhat of a human mind. You know what I'm saying? I was just saying that with the statement of they still kept all of their skills, I was looking for definitive evidence.
Okay, so what do you consider definitive evidence, right? And when definitive evidence is lacking, when we go to Occam's razor and tell you Occam's razor kind of implies that
Yeah, y'all see
the
that shit right
the
there, right?
skill. I don't think that.
Y'all see that shit, right?
I don't understand because like that's the thing. Like
No, I can't say shit, K.
the reason why the problem with saying that I need definitive evidence is because I could then give you evidence and then you could be like, oh well, that's not definitive to me. And we could sit here and then I could show more evidence and then you could be like, well, that's not definitive. You know what I'm saying? So I think even with definitive evidence through like, authorial intent, I think we have to like
I think the best option is to just use Occam's razor here because there's no like statement saying anything. And Occam's razor
Okay.
kind of implies that they're still, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now, to that logic, once again, because that goes back to what I was saying earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Why does that logic not apply to the hand? Because when me and Vagabond were saying, enhanced master martial artists, it was, oh well, we haven't really seen statements. It's to me the same logic once again is not being applied to both sides.
So what logic do you want us to use to make the hand master martial artists when nothing from the comics is implying that they are? You know what I mean? Like if we don't have a statement or any implication from the comics that these guys are trained to a master level, right? When we have a literal statement, you know what I mean, for the League of Assassins, I think it's unfair to just discredit the League of Assassins because they have a statement and the hand doesn't, right? And we can't just assume because they fight master martial artists that they, you know what I mean? Like, it's like Daredevil could be a master martial artist, right? But just because the hand goes and fights Daredevil doesn't make them master martial artists as well, right? As the point we kind of all agreed on earlier, a master martial artist, like, or beating a master martial artist doesn't make you one, right? So it's like, I don't really think there's any evidence behind like the hand being equal to the League of Assassins at all.
But that's what I'm saying. I think there is evidence of them being, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I don't have it now, and I'll have to go look. But that's what my whole thing is. I think there is evidence of them being master martial artists. It's like you said, we've seen.
Mm-hmm. My fault. I'm cutting you off, brother.
Like I said, like you just iterated that. Not saying being a master martial artist or beating a master makes you a master, but I think we can apply to people like Captain America, Elektra, Daredevil, even, like you mentioned, Black Panther himself. These are all some of the highest levels of martial arts you can think of. Even Shang-Chi has low-key had problems with the hand. So if Daredevil too, hell, I mean, not Daredevil, but Iron Fist as well. So my whole thing is if these are the peak of martial artists, the peak of martial artistry in Marvel, and they are straight up telling you that, hey, these dudes are just as close, if not just as good as I am. And it's a lot of times.
Wait, when are they stated? Because like there's strength in numbers, right?
Wait, is there a statement
bro.
exist where somebody's complimenting the skill of the hand members as individuals? Like, if that exists, right, then and I think we should agree, right, Trey, for this conversation, right? We can't just go off of what you may be able to find in the future, right? Not doubting that you can find something. You probably have something, like, I mean, who knows? You might have something in your comic box right now. You know what I mean? But for the sake of this conversation, I think it would be fair to just, like, without any evidence behind what you're saying, we can't just assume that the hand is up there.
You know what I really love about this conversation is we start off talking about Elektra and somehow we're talking about man-bat ninjas in the hand.
No, yeah, it's become a multi-dimensional conversation. I love it.
It's gone a little bit out of the way. In addition to that, two things. Number one is we have a massive offset on DC people and Marvel people, and King 6 counts as like 7 DC people automatically. But what I will say is I am going to be ending the live because I do have to wake up early to take care of my kids. Before I leave, though, I want to just thank every single one of you guys. Beta Ray, Trey, Vagabond, Cosmic, Abyss, Kay, DC, Grayson, Gravity, Nava, Lucid, all the people that were in here. And, of course, King 6 that came in for like 3 words. I appreciate all you guys coming up. I'd like to think that this was a very copacetic and civil discussion. A lot of good stuff was brought up. I enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I hope everyone that's still in the chat right now, please give everyone here a follow. All these guys, great content creators, great debaters, great talkers. I hope you guys enjoyed yourself because I would like to do this again in the future.
This was amazing, Andrew. I appreciate you for inviting me and having me up.
Yeah. I hope we got to do this on a day I don't have kendo practice, so I can actually get here.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing it another day or maybe earlier. The reason why I did 9 o'clock is because what I find on Comic Talk is a lot of you guys are night owls, but then you have someone like me and Vagabond that has to get up early, so it's not so much with us. But it is what it is.
Hey! Or you stop fucking around and you'll keep going for a little bit longer. Cause I gotta work. I gotta get up in the morning too for it. Look at me. I'm still up here, still rocking, still pushing. Come on, Andrew. What's going on?
6. Be quiet.
Yeah, we're also a lot older than you are.
Yeah,
So
you're right.
thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone in the chat, for being here, staying on so long. I hope to do this again, and I hope you guys have a great night. Please, everyone, give these creators a follow, as well as the creators that were up here earlier. Have a great night, guys.
Easy.
Take care, man.